Today's episode of PTG is brought to you by the one and only Trans Labs that brought the world two amazing products. First off, Transfuse, which is a hydration multiplier, and most recently, they just dropped Transcend, which is a nootropic energy formula. No matter what you use, when you choose Trans Labs, you are going to be boosted and you are going to be ready to charge the paintball field and win out there. With Transfuse, that is a premium rapid hydration multiplier and immunity fortifying formula scientifically designed to replenish you at the cellular level. And they use all natural ingredients in this product. We've got zinc, we've got vitamin B6, we've got vitamin C, sodium, potassium, choline, and it is an amazing way to make sure that you're hydrated and prepared to play top-level paintball. When it comes to Transcend, that is a premium nootropic energy formula designed to increase cognitive performance, elevate mood and clarity while supporting long-term brain health, and it's going to leave you feeling great with no crash or jitters. It's one of the only products in the nootropic space backed by research studies to ensure the formula is correct for optimal performance. It is more potent than anything on the market, and it will keep you charged and ready to win out there. I take 1 scoop, but if you're stimulant sensitive, take a half scoop, and if you want that LFG dose to launch to the moon, dump 2 scoops in your drink and you are going to be flying down that paintball field. Comes in 2 delicious flavors, Baja Blast and Skittles Candy for the Transcend. And for the Transfuse, they have 2 new flavors as well, Pineapple Express and Hawaiian Punched. So if you get a chance, head over to translabs.com. That's TRANZLABS.com. Use code PLAYTHEGAME and you'll get 10% off. If you subscribe to a monthly delivery service, you also get 10% off as well. So you can take advantage of 20% off on these products. Head over to translabs.com and give it a go. This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram, @LoneWolfPB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community.
What's going on, PTG fam? Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. This episode, we have the man, the myth, the absolute legend, Matty Marshall. Matty needs no introduction. You guys all know who he is, the absolute voice of paintball. Fresh off the airplane, just got back from the NXL Europe event over in England. It was an amazing event. They did a live broadcast. You can head over to the CPPS Facebook page and check it out. It's really fantastic. Love what they did. Had a great setup over at Ainsley's Field. And as always, Matty is just one of the best people in the entire world to talk to. So we had some great conversation. It unfortunately did get cut a little bit short. And I say a little bit short. It was still 2.5 hours, but you know, by Matty's standards, that's a little short when he's on the PTG show because he had to go put his kid to sleep. So we will have a part 2. Forgive us, but still an amazing conversation, amazing little hangout session with Matty, and we hope you enjoy.
Matty, that was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this man needs no introduction. We have Matty Marshall, fresh off the airplane, back from the NXL Europe over in England. We have so much awesome stuff to talk about. I'm excited to have you on the show, Matty. Welcome.
Let's go.
Man, I'm so happy to be here. I love having conversations with you guys off camera, and the past couple that we had on camera, those were glorious and intricate, and I love those words. So I'm down to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If I apologize, I'm gonna try to be as animated as possible, but last days of travel were a little crazy, as you guys well know. You've been overseas, but the event was dope, and actually got to grab my notes because I was just dealing with my kid, got back to a sick kid. So You guys know how
Ooh.
that shit
Oh
goes.
no,
Yeah. Hope he's
the
okay.
auntie.
Yeah, he doesn't have like
A vid?
Corona or anything bad. He's just got, it's called like hand, foot, and mouth thing. It's like this common
Yeah.
rash that all kids essentially get at
Mhm.
some point. So, you know, it looks like he's, anyway, yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like he jumped into some poison ivy and he's grumpy. That's
He's
pretty
gonna
Oh
much.
be-
no, poor guy.
Yeah, he's gonna be uncomfortable, but he'll be, you know, he'll be good. And it's an
Yeah.
honor to have you on here, man. Oh my God, Matty. The last time we had you on the show, we had to make it into 2 episodes. It went like 14 hours long. It was one of the greatest times ever in PTG history. So we're honored to have you back on the show, and thank you for everything that you do in paintball with Go Sports. And I mean, not even to mention your decorated paintball career as an athlete on the field, and then transcending as a writer. You know, and all of the moves that you've made, being the voice of paintball. It's just been truly an honor to watch you work as well. And we're stoked to be able to work side by side. Like you were saying before the show, it's like we're both fighting on the same front, going at bat for paintball every step of the way. And we're just, we're grateful, man. So thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. You know, I mean, people, fans, and people all the time that love this game will say, you know, the simple words of grow the game, hashtag grow the game. And I'm always asking, like, well, what are you actually doing to grow the game? Because if you're sucking off the teat of the sport and not providing, you know, any sort of delicious cheese for the people back at home, then you're really kind of just a free rider. And you guys, I mean, you guys have really, I'm so impressed and proud of obviously seeing you guys grow up into the men and the players that you are, two of the best ever to play the game, and then to take up the reins as storytellers too during COVID, and then to see that flourish has just been, I'm not just saying that, bro, like I'm really happy with, you know, what you guys have been doing, and it's just so important. Yeah, I mean, we're all fighting the same war, just on different fronts, and we're not even
Yeah.
on different fronts. You know, we're on the same front. We're just like on different sides of the battlefield. And, you know, Tyler and Marcel were talking a little bit off camera that on the plane, I read like probably 250 pages of this book about the invasion of Normandy. That was just, oh, dude, it was so good. And it was so crazy because you had all these guys landing essentially on these 4 separate beaches, as, you know, everyone always knows that kind of story, but how big that entire area was, and all these little intricate stories that follows these, sometimes a single man, sometimes up to a battalion. But anyway, yeah. So at the same time, here I am already getting carried away.
No,
We're going
great.
into it.
Matty, I just, you know,
We're going into
before
battle
the
together,
show,
and you know, God bless all the servicemen and women out there. We actually just had Ion this last weekend, which was pretty crazy.
Did we lose Marcelo? Because I just see you right now.
It looks like we might have lost Marcelo. Yeah. So he's like the circus master. So we're gonna definitely need him.
Marcelo, what happened, bro? Where are you at? Let's give him send him a little text real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I definitely want to talk about Invasion of Normandy because I have some crazy. Oh, and he's back. I have some crazy Invasion of Normandy stories. I can't remember if I told my tank kill story on the podcast last time, but bro, I got a sick ass tank kill story from Invasion of Normandy that was one of my favorite paintball moments, to be honest.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't remember if you told that story. It was about 7 hours of podcast content. And I was looking, you were one of our early shows. I think you were on episode 23 or something like that. So it was really early on.
That definitely sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you want to hear this marvelous tank kill story? Because it's a pretty sick tank kill story.
Absolutely.
So again, now because we did do 7 hours, and contrary to popular opinion, I don't like listening to myself talk. And I have to do that all the time. So I don't remember exactly what. Plus, you know, it's night here, and I had a long weekend, so I'm going to be enjoying some delicious of San Diego's finest here, like we did last time.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
So I don't remember everything I said in 7 hours. So if I do repeat a story, and you're like, "Oh, bro, we already heard that one." So if anything clicks off and you remember this one, let me know. So it's Invasion of Normandy, and as Tyler, did you actually go and play it, Tyler, or did you just teach the clinic, or?
I was right next door at Quick Shot Paintball doing a clinic with Iconic, Quinn from Iconic. We did a really amazing clinic where we actually gave away a whole day of free teaching to the public, and all the money went to the fields and going straight back into the community. So it was a really amazing clinic we did. And Ion was going on right next door, and I was just like, oh, I want to be there so bad. I've always wanted to play that tournament, and it was just like just being like right on the other side of the gate from it. But it sounded like everyone had a great time out there. They were running rackets left and right, dropping out of tanks and throwing smoke grenades and all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait to hear about your experience out there.
Yeah, so I think this was Invasion Normandy because after I retired from excessive before the Great Recession hit, I was sponsored by Smart Parts, and I traveled around because they had just come out with this like new tactical gun, and I was trying to start at the time what I was calling, going to call Transcend Paintball, which was kind of in its in like a it's kind of like what we're doing now, but before the kind of technology had progressed. Anyway, that's a different story. So I traveled around and played all these big games. So yeah, we're at this huge game, and Invasion of Normandy has like it's like 2,000 on 2,000. I think at the time the year I went, it like broke the record. I think it was like 4,600 people or 5,400. It was insane. It's
Sheesh.
like just a
Oh my
wild
God.
maniac. It's like Submission Paintball Bros. It's worth going just for the very first battle. Do not play on the American side if you can avoid it, unless you really want to like run into a bunch of wells. I was like, I'm playing on the German side, bro. I know enough history. I'm gonna try to be on the hillside or like it's so. But in that one, you're kind of on the you're in the woods, and then you have these fortified positions, and then the Americans have this open area with hyperball tubes and just bunkers and stuff, and they attack across, and it's this wild, crazy battle. But after that, they just keep flooding American bodies in because they're right by the staging area. And if you're German,
Yeah.
you got to be inside, and there's no paint and air back there. So once the Germans run out of ammunition, then the Americans are going to eventually storm the beach, and the British and the Canadians, and because the real story there and French, there was everyone there. So yeah, so then after that it kind of devolves into this crazy just like flowing massive like 2,000 on 2,000 big game with not a lot of structure, at least back 12 years ago, whatever this was. So at the time I didn't never really played a ton of big games. I played a lot of woods ball, obviously came up playing Pro 10 in the woods, and but maybe at that point the biggest game I had played was like maybe 100 on 100. So I didn't realize how insane it can actually get. And I also had no idea the rules with the tanks. I knew that tanks existed. I'd seen pictures of them in the magazines and heard some stories about dudes getting into tanks, but I had never actually seen one in real life. So so we're like our whole side, and it's like a Civil War battle. I mean, you're just looking at like hundreds of people there and hundreds of people here, and you can rally troops. It's insane. But all of a sudden people start getting peeled off, and I look up and there's this tank, and it's like imagine like a big golf cart type looking thing that is made out of plywood, and it has these people have created a rotating turret with double barrel Titmans shooting full auto at like gotta be over 300 feet per second, bro. I mean, they were
Guaranteed.
just it was just
Yeah.
like a chainsaw paintballs. And so this tank's just obliterating people around me. I happened to, thank God, be by a pretty big tree at the time, but it's a pretty open area. So the tank just rolls up, and everyone's shooting at the tank. And according, again, you have to have a rocket launcher to kill a tank. And I never thought I would ever be like, "Where's the rocket launcher?" In my entire paintball career, because I always thought that was like some lame stuff. But anyway, I still didn't know you needed a rocket launcher at the time. But I noticed that. So on the side of the tank, I was behind this tree, and the bark's flying off of this thing because it's just these dudes are just going crazy with this double-barreled automatic Titman thing with probably had like 5,000 paintballs on each side and scuba tanks. But it had the turret. The turret would go really slow, left and right, back and forth, and it would sweep the whole area because there was legitimately that much of an angle to shoot at bodies because of where they were at out in this open area. They're he's probably like 40, 50 yards away. And then on the side, there were these two netted turrets or openings where the guys were shoving guns through on each side and then shooting out of. But the center was a blind shot, or it was a blind zone. And I realized that after kind of just hiding behind the tree and head checking, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, dude. I feel like I see the weakness there. So I just, as dudes are getting peeled off left and right, and I don't really know what to do. And I'm like, I need a tank kill story. Like it just in my mind pops up. I'm like, I'm taking this tank down. So as soon as the turret goes all the way to like, I can't remember left or right, and it was going to take them a decent amount of time to get back. It was like at least 10 to 15 seconds. So, and sometimes they would just stay on one side. So I just just head straight for the center of the tank. I'm just like running through, and people are shooting at me from their front line. And I was, again, sponsored by Smart Parts. So I had a shocker that was on PSP mode, shooting 15 balls a second, probably about 310. And so as I get to the tank, I get it going. I'm like, and I pull open the I'm at the front of the tank, and the turret's coming over the top of me, and I reach over and I pull up the netting, and I get the gun going before it's on full auto, and then just pull the trigger and I put it in and just start blasting these dudes from 2 inches away and just light up like all four dudes in the tank, and they're just screaming on the other side of the plywood. And I'm like, that's right, motherfuckers, take it. Just murdering these dudes. And they're like, screaming. And then I get tackled. So I'm like on the ground now, and there's this ref on top of me, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to kill this tank. And he's like, that was awesome, but you're out. And I was like, how? You know, like I probably got shot a couple times from somebody in the line, but I wasn't about to check myself. And then he's like, well, but I'm like, how? And he's like, you can't get within 10 feet of the tank. He's like, you gotta go. I was like, oh, okay. So then I learned.
Oh man.
So, but then after that, I just started hunting tanks in big games to try to find their weakness. And those are like, that's some of the funnest shit you could possibly do in paintball.
That
so
sounds
that's
epic. You know, I'm sorry guys, I kind of cut out a little bit, but where is this? You said, is that Ion?
Invasion of Normandy.
Where does that take place?
The Northeast.
Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Named after the iconic football player.
Sweet.
Yeah. Those games look crazy. That's actually one of my dreams when I'm done playing top level pro ball. Someday I just want to go around with like the PTG banner and just go to recreational, huge, big games and go to all the parks across the world. And like, that sounds like the most fun ever, is playing all those big games, getting to connect with everybody. You're forever a legend, and you were a pro paintball player at this was like in the height of Matty Marshall.
Well, so I had just retired
in your pro career.
I had retired from excessive, and it was that, and so because at the time we were starting to do, because we had told the story about, you know, why did I get into doing kind of the broadcasting side, and even though I could have kept playing, I felt like I'd played probably the best I'd ever played at World Cup in 2007 or 8. And then, but it was starting to get these opportunities, and I'd been doing both for a while, man. I mean, since 2003, I'd been kind of wearing both hats, and then I just, you know, kind of had done everything that I wanted to do at that point, so then moved on. And then, so yeah, this was in like 2009-ish or something. But then the Great Recession just ruined everything. But as far as like best experiences and best, dude, I've done it all. Well, I played 1-on-1 tournaments. I played in 10-man. I've played, you know, fun 15 on 15. So basically everything from 1-on-1 to 2,500 on 2,500. I've done military. Dude, I just got to do some cool force on force training. We could tell those stories too if you guys want. But yeah, amazing. So I kind of done it all. I mean, I'm sure there's some other stuff to do, but dude, yeah, big games to this day. When people are like, oh, do you still play? I'm like, dude, absolutely. I'm definitely getting old at this point. My knees aren't what they used to be, but if there's a big game that I can go to, man, there's one here in San Diego I try to go to, and then Decay Nations. I mean, we don't have a ton out here in Southern California, but bro, if anyone out there listening and you love tournament paintball, I understand. I love it too. We all do. It's like drinking beer or whiskey. You know, whiskey is incredibly potent, and you're taking the essence of what that intoxicant is, which is alcohol, and you're distilling it down and making it incredibly potent. And that's kind of, you know, so tournament paintball is more of like sipping a really good whiskey, whereas like going to play a big game, there are some whiskey moments out there, but it's a little bit more flavoring like a good beer. It's a little bit easier to consume, because if you want, you can.
How are we comparing the spectrums of our sport to alcohol right now?
Because it's a good metaphor. Yeah. It's a good metaphor. And I'm drinking a delicious beer. It's a good metaphor. Okay. I mean, I got some other ones too, but like that's a good metaphor.
Well, for people who don't know, Matty Marshall is one of the best paintball players to ever play this game. And I know we're in 2022, but this guy ran the ship, and he still does. You know, like Matty is boss hog of paintball, and the guy knows his stuff. When it comes to navigating a paintball field, knowing intellectually and athletically how to get up a paintball field and get the job done, the dude has done it just about as good as anybody else. And I got the pleasure of watching you when I was younger, like with the whole Iron Man and coming up, and then obviously excessive, and like your story has been crazy. So we're just excited to finally have you on the other side of the mic, be able to ask you a bunch of questions and pick your brain about a bunch of fun stuff.
Dude,
I mean, Matty, real quick, I was talking to Tyler about this before the show. I was like, you know, even just watching the NXL Europe, because unfortunately I tested positive for COVID last Monday, so I couldn't make it to NXL Europe, which was a huge bummer. I know I was texting you the whole weekend how upset I was that I wasn't there, but it was, you know, obviously the responsible thing. I didn't test negative until Friday, so it was too late to try to catch a flight. In any case, watching the webcast the entire time, just you being there, you being on whatever broadcast it is, legitimizes the whole thing. And I'm one of your, you know, close friends. You and I talk quite frequently. We've gone to many lunches. So the you could maybe say the star power or whatever might not be there for me, but it's still, I get it when I watch you commentate or broadcast a professional paintball game. And it's really special what you've done. You know, I know earlier in the show you were kind of singing our praise for the storytelling here and what we're doing at PTG, but I mean, so much of this was sparked by many lunches that you and I have had 10 years ago, you know, talking about this kind of stuff, you know, kind of planting the seed. I mean, you actually, you know, we kind of give Carl the praise for being the first podcast, but really it was actually you. I think you have like 130 something.
The Matty Ho Show.
The Real Deal podcast, you know?
Yeah. Well, then I actually did the first podcast I ever did was for PB Nation. Actually, we didn't do a bunch, but yeah, I did a paintball podcast. The business end of it didn't really work out. You know, no, for not any specific reason. I don't have any bad blood, but yeah, the very first paintball podcast I ever did, like that we called a podcast, was in 2008, I believe.
See, you've been doing this.
Well, it's storytelling is so important. I appreciate those kind words, but it's like, look, man, all you can do in this world is the best you can do with the gifts that you're given, with what you have, and with whatever that may. We come into this, and you know, like, yeah, you know, like it's unfortunate to say, but you know what, man, not everyone, we're all created equal in the eyes of we should be equal in the eyes of the law. But guess what? We're not all equal, man. You know, like some people are taller than others. Some people are shorter than others. Some people are smarter than others. Some people have a capacity to do math way better than other people. And for whatever reason, I love stories and I could tell a good story. So this is what I have, you know, it's like, this is what I have to give. And so, and I love this game of paintball. I really, truly feel that the game of paintball is a special, you know, entity. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if we spoke. I think we did, because I remember reading the last chapter about it. But we spoke about Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art, and he talks about he's written some of the most amazing war books I've ever read in my entire life. But also he has written one of the most inspiring books of to believe in yourself as far as creation.
Yes,
it's called The War of Art, and he talks about it in very religious terms. And you know, I mean, I'm down to go down whatever rabbit hole you guys want to go down. But people that know me would probably describe. Sorry, yeah,
one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Our job in this life is not to shape ourselves into some ideal we imagine we ought to be, but to find out who we already are and become it," which is very fitting to what you just said.
Yeah,
I love that you brought that up. I've got the book in my backpack right now. It's like the one book that I bring with me on every trip.
Yeah.
Right. I've had it with me every event this year. I've read it a couple times already. And I just keep going through it. And I know Tyler has started. He's reading it too. You probably already finished it.
No, you
sorry
remember
to interrupt on that though, Matty.
The funny story about the book. You know this story.
Funny. This is funny.
Marcelo and I both started reading this book just by happenstance. Didn't let each other know at the same exact time. And then it's so crazy. And and then like 2 weeks or maybe I don't even know how far
Tyler
into
brought something up about resistance.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're reading the War of Art right now by chance?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm on like chapter 4. I was like, "Oh shit, dude, me too." It's pretty funny.
It was crazy. Yeah. That book's powerful,
dude. And so he talks about it, but it almost has it's almost in a religious tone, you know, with the reverence that you would give to the unknown entities that may or may not guide us. I don't know. You know, I mean, it's not really for us to know. I mean, anyone that you talk about in the spiritual essence of the great sages, or any psychonaut that's gone down the psychedelic rabbit hole, whatever, you know, whatever journey that somebody's been on, a meditator that's been sitting in a cave for, 25 fucking years, they all basically say the same stuff. And it really is on this plane, not really for us to know specifically. Now, if you were speaking to somebody that is that follows a dogma of an organized religion, they would argue. They'd be like, no, well, it's about Christ's teachings, or, it's about, Muhammad, or whatever, the Tao. We go down. I love talking about religions, but I do, most people look at paintball as a rather frivolous activity. But I don't. I never played it as a frivolous. I mean, when I started playing paintball because I wanted to pretend to play war. That's why I did it, and I wanted to see what sort of test it would give my brain when I was, 15, 16-year-old kid playing baseball and football, and you're testing yourself, you're testing your limits, and then you start, but I think paintball is this very unique creation that has a lot of, that's why I always use that term, the gifts of the game. I'll use that on my shows and have been saying it for a long time, because I do really feel that it's a very set of diverse gifts of the game that will, if you continue to do it, gives you a lot back, and it makes you a better human being.
Yeah, paintball is such a special sport, man, on so many levels of building community and connectivity, right? Because communication is at the highest front of paintball. Obviously, the best teams in the world, the most connected. They make decisions quicker, more efficient, and have a depth of awareness on how to play situations, great situational awareness. And it's just such an amazing game in the sense that you can, you know, just be in the moment. It's one of those few times in life where you can really just be in the moment. Like when you're working out or when you're with your loved ones and you're just maybe doing nothing and just in the moment. Those moments, they're timeless, right? All those moments. And paintball, what it creates on that field for so many people is just a ton of timeless moments that are really hard to explain or recreate. And once you play and you go and have a great time, the camaraderie, but it's truly a special game. It really is.
And it's there's communication on the field, but it's like being involved with all the teams that I was on, and even now trying to create some sort of an actual creative thing that exists that you're trying to put out into the world to get
Yeah,
people to give a shit about this thing and the people that do it. But if I look at being on Navarone when I was a kid and that the lessons there, and then going to the Ironman when I was a young adult, and then cutting my teeth and trying to have to excel at this. Excuse me. And then and also as the sport was transforming, as things were evolving, from in my time on the Ironman, we went from playing in the woods full time to playing on like hyperball and
yeah,
airball, and then to airball and essentially exclusively, and then
that's right.
because then the NXL happened, and the next incarnation of it in the first year or of X Ball when I was still on the Ironman, then it was like, well, how do we look at this from a business standpoint? Because people may I do feel that we can talk politics too. I can talk about anything you guys want, but is
I
that
love you.
is
I love you so much, Maddie.
I love you guys too.
You're the man.
I really do. Is that but then you're at a certain point of time you grow up enough to understand that like it's like when people hit me up and they're like, I really love this or that and I want to do this or that. I'm like, if depending on who I'm talking to, I'm like, cool. What's your revenue model? How are you going to produce some sort of what's your profit? This and I don't know. Just trying or like, and if you don't, are you asking those yourselves your questions, or people that just got here they want to do all this cool stuff? And I'm like, that's anyway. So then we were forced to start looking at it that way. And then also, I mean, I worked at paintball stores and paintball fields and cut the heads off rattlesnakes and created 2-piece barrels and wrote articles and did voiceover and worked for ESPN, all that sort of stuff. And then it was like excessive. And then with excessive, then that was a very interesting thing because at that point we made that the excessive story. So to be working with a filmmaker like Pat and see behind the scenes what it really takes to make something that people will remember. And then, having gone to school for creative writing, I mean, I got my degree in English. So it's like there's certain
Yeah.
things and ways that things need to be said. And to see Pat do that with visuals was a big kind of like apprentice moment for me to kind of move into what I've been doing for a long time, So now, because I'm definitely getting fucking old.
Dude, you're right on time. You are right on time, my friend.
It's been an
And
interesting life, though, for sure.
yeah, what have those experiences taught you? Like the ESPN experience, transcending into the Voice of Paintball and being such a inspirational figure in this sport. Like over the years, these kernels of knowledge that you've picked up from these different facets, where are we heading in the sense of media? And, what are you looking forward to the most?
Jesus. I mean, that's a really wide open question. This the big well, I mean, you can kind of, and I boil it down a lot of times to a very specific mantra. And Marcel, I've heard you listen to or mention this before. Is that having worked on a lot of different types of projects from early podcasts. Well, I mean, shit, to first magazine writing for magazines, trying to write fiction or learning to get my college degree and working in creative writing workshops with people that have, they're badass writers that are published and established. The woman that I worked
Everybody,
with.
yes, right now, go look up Matty Marshall. Type in like Matty Marshall. What should they search so they can find the writing? And then,
Well, I mean, as far as like the biggest thing that would be would probably be a lot of the voiceover stuff that I wrote.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Well, so that's, I mean, or this book. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen this before, the famous book, but a lot of the stuff that I wrote for that, did I ever, I can't remember if, did you guys read I really like the, did I read that for you? Did I read that, guys, the piece for you that I wrote about? So Chris Dilts, so this thing has 2 separate books in it. It's The Lost Roles and Famous. And so Chris Dilts, so this is basically Paint Magazine was one of the magazines that I worked. I was editor at large and I wrote a ton of articles for them during a kind of an important fundamental point of the transition of paintball. And then those guys went on to have incredibly successful careers doing, like running Obama's campaign and lots of crazy stuff. So those guys are very successful, but they love the game. So they came back and created this. But then Chris asked me to write like an introduction to the Lost Roles. Did I read that the last time? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think you read your quote from Sunday Drivers.
Dude, you got to read it. Oh man.
There's a here, I'm gonna read this for you guys. So basically it's from 2004 to 2005, which is like a pretty foundational time period in that game. So I wrote the foreword for it, and it goes, "This may be the lost roles, but this was not a lost time. Quite the contrary. Events during the moments pictured in these pages felt like a charge had been laid under our sport and set to explode. There were more cameras, more people, more teams, more sponsors, more tournaments, more attention. We felt like we were on the cusp, ready to rise. From 2004 to 2005, those of us riding the wave of the tournament paintball upsurge felt like all the deep dreams that we'd fantasized about were about to come true. We were right on the front tip of a fun and charismatic and violent ship, breaking big waves into an unknown ocean, blasting off towards undiscovered land, summoning winds whose direction was unknown. We had no idea where we were going, and we couldn't have been happier. And what makes the images in this book even more compelling is that I thought we'd never see them. Because in the middle of this scene's explosion was a man witnessing the slow destruction of a dream while capturing these high watermarks using a dying technology. The game was changing, the way it was documented and consumed was changing. Analog was morphing into digital, and Paint Magazine's days were numbered. It was a slow-breaking wave of creative destruction. Film as a professional medium was dying, and these images are a potent product of their own limitations. Enter the man wielding the time machine, Chris Dilts, and think on the power of his tools in that era. He stalked the event seeking captivating subjects and stories. 36 shots in a roll with about 20 rolls of film to shoot in a day, max speed of 5 shots a second. So call it around 720 shots in total, about the same amount of shots that you have to work with in your pack in a single game, to catch life lightning, to steal a soul, to immortalize a moment. Just 720 chances to force little tiny atoms of time into a standstill, slicing up things into 1/500th of a second with each conscious click of the shutter. And no way to know if you got the goods until the film was developed weeks, or in this case, a decade and a half later. When your shots are limited and your time is short, you choose your targets very diligently. You have to be able to read your subjects and see the future just ahead to get the right magic secured. And this is what you are about to see here. Lost but formative moments found and brought to light, both for the people in frame and the sport. You're looking at eggs, at seeds, at untapped potential, at emerging archetypes. How do you measure the tides of time? Rocks wear water scars, stars spiral above in lockstep, the march of the cosmos a repeatable rhythm. But the measure of our lives, human lives, it is different because it is so short, and the meat box containing our memories is malleable and fallible. Photos help create concrete signposts, at least the ones that survive do. And I'm glad that these survived, because one day they will outlast my memory. I had Chris Dilts around for 6 years, so for this time period, I just check his words to spark memory banks. And that's how I measure the tidelines of our time during the instrumental chaos that was the birth of the modern sport of paintball.
Come on. What do we do? We got one.
Don't stop. Don't stop the applause.
I don't, my good microphone, my good microphone's over there.
Don't stop.
My good microphone's over there, but I got a little mic drop.
Oh, wow.
Yeesh. Man.
Jeez.
Gives me chills, Matty.
Seriously,
that's
chills.
why it's the presence that you've brought to what we do. And it's again, just me watching because I watched the entire broadcast back from Germany, the first event, and any broadcast that doesn't have Matty Marshall, just for whatever reason, it just does not feel like it is the professional field that's happening. But when you're over there, it commands this prestige, and it's because of just years and years of hard work and dedication to your craft and continuously putting out your creative pieces and being so ingrained into what professional athletes do. So it it can't be overstated. It truly can't, what you've done for the game and what you continue to do for the game. And that piece right there is just another, I mean, it's insane. It's insane, your abilities, Matty. You're fucking fantastic.
I appreciate that. I do really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy one to write too, because it was kind of a charged moment. Oh, you can win this, by the way. I'm giving away.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I just so we can get out of the way. So can I? Because this was interesting, and there obviously like there was so much shit. I as anyone that I've definitely is like, I remember Tyler, I was hanging out with you and we had like 5 hours to burn in Maryland. It was right when you were leaving Dynasty to go to Heat. And we're sitting there talking about that for like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we're talking about time.
It was
and,
nonstop.
You know, just all sorts of crazy stuff.
And you both missed your flights?
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
I almost missed my flight.
Hey, we got to hype this up big time. PTG fam, everybody show out for Matty Marshall. He's got some new excessive merch that's going to be dropping, and he's giving away this famous book that he just wrote that quote from. He's giving away this amazing book, which is a piece of art, a piece of time, a huge brick of time, dude. That thing is huge. And you're going to be giving that out to a lucky winner who buys one of these amazing excessive jerseys.
Yeah, so I'm doing pre-orders. I'm doing some pre-orders for these, which I've been doing now for a couple weeks, but I'm closing it off. Like this is like the last couple days, maybe like I'm not sure when you guys are going to drop this, but
tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, this will be cool. Tonight.
Tight. Well, then everyone has, I'd say you got about 2 more days. I just got back from London. I'm a little jet lagged and got a sick kid, but,
oh, man.
So I've got some stuff to do, but I will be taking orders, but I still, as anyone, you guys know, it's like, I want to make sure I'm doing all this myself, because I want to, to give stuff. And I'm going to do a couple other raffle stuff away. I think I got like a Hormesis chain. I got some other stuff I'm going to be raffling away, but yeah, I got a certain amount of, so these are my personal copies. They will be signed. I'm going to get like Tom Martinez and Ryan and like Marcelo, the other San Diego guys that are close to sign this. Nice. So it will be raffled off. But then, yeah, Marcelo, you might be able to win your own signed famous book. No, but yeah. So what I'm doing is it's our 2000. So when we came out with Excessive, it was during a very interesting time period in the game, and it was one of the first super teams. We had a big money sponsor. There was a billionaire. It's kind of this predates Heat. This predates Impact. I mean, not quite Impact. Impact was around at the time, but weren't big yet. Anyway, so but it was the California Bear jersey, which is I think is kind of funny. There's a really funny story about how this specific design, because it looks like this kind of it looks like a pig almost, but this is the classic. This is on the flag of the state of California.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are replica jerseys. This is my only original one from 2004. Which is not for sale unless you give me an insane amount of money for it.
5,000.
Everything is
Send it over.
for sale, but this is not for sale. Like I really want my kid to have this when I'm dead and gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we're doing replicas. Rich, like because Thomas had done some and Mike had done some, and I think Rich's are still for sale. Anyway, but yeah, nice. So I'm taking orders there. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. It's Matty Marshall SD, and then I'm giving away a signed copy of the. I gotta pick it up. This thing, but it's heavy. But Lost Scrolls and Famous, they go together. And this was one of my contributor copies that I got for it, and I don't have a lot of them. So
amazing.
Matty, like I said, I'm definitely buying a jersey. I don't want to be entered to win the book, so I don't know if you have a way of removing me.
Me too.
Yeah. I just want the jersey. I've got a great book, and we had Chris Haas and Chris Dilt on the show. They're not making those books again. So they're gone. They're done. Nobody can get those. Yeah. And so that is a really, really cool thing that somebody has a chance of not only securing a piece of history, but maybe potentially winning the book.
Well, the reason I just wanted to give, it's like, look, dude, these are obviously big fans. If you're pre-ordering my jersey, I mean, they're not cheap. It's $175 plus shipping, but but I just wanted to give up like something because, for the people that pre-ordered them, it's like, those are people that do appreciate what I'm doing. Yeah. So, it's like, I love to like look at the books behind me, man. I buy people's books.
Yes, sir.
Try to buy the beer that I like. I support the people that I enjoy. I mean, that's it. There's a guy that's, I just met him this past weekend, but they do this, they run I can't remember what his name is off the top of his head, but I'll let you guys know so you guys can, kind of get the story out because I promised them I'd help spread the word. But they do it's like a charity. They basically they get people's jerseys and they sell them and then they fund a bunch of kids playing paintball over in England. And that's a place that definitely needs help for people that can't afford it. Anyway, so stuff like that. So it's, you gotta, because that whole like give me something free shit in the world like doesn't work, dude. If you appreciate people's podcasts, like donate. If a friend starts a company, the least you can do is share their stuff, but like to the world, and support everyone whose creations you truly enjoy and think do something amazing for the world. We need more positivity in this world. So that's why I wanted to give like a cool thing away for the pre-orders.
Let me be the first to say that's a good deal. All right, that's a good deal. You could double up on that immediately, resell, and make a whole market out of that. Yeah. So
I used to think that it was enough, you know, if friends started a company or whatever it was to share their products and like, you know, hey, can I get a t-shirt? I'll wear it, post it, whatever. I used to think that was enough. And over the last 3 to 5 years, I've just realized, maybe it's because we're doing our own thing, the best way you can support your friends is to support your friends. Whatever business venture they're on, be a customer. Be one of their customers, period. You know, that's the best way that you can do it. If you appreciate what somebody's doing, support them as a customer and share their stuff. And that's the way.
Friends pay double.
100%.
Period.
Dude, I mean,
I don't know about that. You're speaking a little crazy.
Double. Don't worry, Marcelo and Tyler. I would not do that to you. I would never do that to you.
I don't know. I think Tyler wants to get charged double.
Yeah, I will.
I don't know.
Tyler, I won't do that. I won't do that to you. I won't do that to you. I just can't. So I can't on my conscience.
But
do
that. in return, I will be entered. If I do win, it's going to the PTG fam. We're giving it away, baby.
I like it. Yeah. Somebody out there is getting it anyway. No, it'll be dope.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. It's been such a wild ride. I mean, even where the sport's going right now, it's like, look at what Dynasty's doing. Look what you guys are doing. Just everyone. I mean, I could just go down the list, like everything. Hormesis, Tiger Wear, all the straps of cool shit
amazing.
that all those jerseys you've been just dropping, Marcel. Those are tight as hell as too. You know, it's like the stuff that Sam's doing. I mean, Infamous. It's awesome, and that's the way forward for sure. I mean, it's come one, come all. This is a keep what you kill type situation. Again, this is one of the reasons I love paintball. It's not really like we don't give a shit what you look like, what gender you are, where you came from. It's like, what do you bring to the community? What can you give us? You know, what can you do? You know, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, look at a paintball team. You get tall ass dudes like Tyler or tiny ass dudes like Kyle Spica. You know, like it doesn't matter. As long as you're out there killing people, like we got place for you, man. You know, so it's just, I just love that about this because we need more of that in the world. But again, dude, I'm down to talk about whatever you guys want, dude. We can talk about London. We can talk
Maddie,
about
let's jump into England a little bit.
We do have these for later. These are tinfoil hats. They're crunchy. You hear that? You could get some questions going. All right. Yeah.
We're gonna have to have a tinfoil hat.
Did you guys make those for the? I didn't listen to the Damien episode, but I heard I heard you created those for the Damien episode.
Yeah,
that's true.
Don't lie. Don't say you didn't listen to the Damien episode. How did you hear about that then?
Because I saw that you had posted a clip about the tinfoil hats, and I laughed my ass off, and I thought it was great and I love Damien. Damien played his ass off in Texas. You know, going down the rabbit hole a bit. People want to talk conspiracies. Like I've been looking into conspiracy theories for 20 something years, 25 years, since before, like back when we were trading DVDs. And like, I mean, before the internet was even really like a thing. And
wait, what's a DVD?
Yeah, exactly. You would like burn a DVD. Like I remember going up to Roy Richards' buddy's house.
Wait, burn? What does that mean?
Yeah,
I don't. What are you talking about?
You lit it on fire?
Yeah, well, that you would take. It would, it's not like a raven. Like you send like a carrier pigeon or a raven. No, it was like, bro, that's back when you would send like a carrier pterodactyl, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like you would get your little baby pterodactyl, strap the burned CD to his leg, and then you would like as he'd like fly off into take the message to the boys.
Go. Let it be known.
All right.
Let it be known about the Illuminati.
Let's talk a little bit about England. That event looked awesome. Ainsley crushed it. I've been meaning to send him honestly, it's deserving of a long message of the effort he put forth to create. It's one of the only, it is the only paintball park that I would be okay with one of the major events being at, to be honest. And that's, Bear does a great job in Texas. No knock to Bear, but I still just, I like, when the NXL is on grass fields, all that, but for whatever reason, that venue and everything Ainsley did just looked really good. The commentator booth he had looked good. The stands, it looked good. The grass hills all the way around, like everything was fantastic. You were just there. So yeah, let's dive in and talk a little bit about England.
Let me paint the scene for center court. So they basically took excavators and they carved out a bowl to create a natural stadium surrounding the field. So that on one side, so imagine that you guys are looking at my face right now. Here I'm on this camera. So I'm staring down at center court from my commentator's perch, right? It's 2 stories. I would like them to get a less rickety ladder. That's the only criticism I have for the entire weekend, because I'm getting a little chunky in my dad bod days here, and I don't know if it can contain my 215 pounds getting up that thing. No, it was fine.
I saw someone eat it on a ladder on this YouTube feed, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not getting on ladders no time
I'm not
soon.
trying
This
not to
is
be
crazy."
mean. No, it was fine, but over here we got like industrial ladders in the States, and it was I mean, it was fine. But anyway, but yeah, no. But they built this whole commentators booth, which has the webcast stuff that they have set up for it in there, and I mean, they had a little fan right here. They got a heater for when it gets cold. And it was great. The guys I worked with over there were great. Now, on the pit side, they have it's concrete pits that they power wash every single night. Literally, the field's done, and they're power washing the pits. And then the field, again, built into a what has created a natural stadium effect. And then so around the center court, which, by the way, has turf that was purchased from the Manchester United and Man City's practice facility. So it was used by the actual professional soccer teams, AK football, if you're listening overseas. But it's pristine, amazing AstroTurf. And then around it is this maybe say 15-foot tall hill that is completely grass. And I asked them, being in Southern California, I'm looking at it and I'm like, so Ainsley, first of all, amazing job that you did with this facility, bro. I just can't say enough awesome stuff. So when you kind of built this in there, and he's like, oh yeah, I dug it in here with excavators, and we put all this, and the turf, he's giving me the whole rundown. I'm like, so did you like sod that? Did you turf it? Like, did you put seed down? Like, how did you get that pristine grass? And he looks at me like the first time I asked Leds when I was like 21 years old, and he's like, oh, we'll walk down to the pub. I'm like, you live by a bar? That's super cool. You got to go to like bars in certain places in San Diego. And he's like, Matty, everyone lives by a pub. It's England. And Ainsley looked at me the same way. He's like, bro, you don't have to put grass seed? What are you talking about? No, dude, you make the land, and then in 2 or 3 months, there's grass there. You don't even have to water it. So, I mean, if that was California, that would be like a dirt hill with some, water divots running through it with some weeds growing on it. So anyway, it's just, and then, yeah, the guys, Ainsley and the boys and girls that help him out, he's got there's 2 twin 20-year-old girls that are dating paintball dudes that work there. They work their ass off. At one point, I thought it was just this one unstoppable force of like a 21-year-old girl, 22-year-old girl who just seemed to be everywhere. And then I found out that they were twins, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. But yeah, it was unbelievable. The whole thing looks like a golf course. If it's not the best like tournament paintball facility I've ever been to, I mean, it's maybe the
top
most,
3. It's just in there.
Definitely. I'm trying to think. It's just different. It's like, because based on the landscape you have to work with, it's just so tough to keep. Dude, I have a hard time keeping the grass in my backyard alive. So I mean, it's just, and they have these 2 riding mowers, lawnmowers they call the twins. Not anyway. So it's just unbelievable.
Do the twins
bro.
ride the twins?
Probably. I think they do. But yeah.
How do they do the netting? Since it's down, maybe about how much would you say? 15, 20 feet down?
I think it's like, I was only, man, I was stuck in that box for 12 hours a day. It felt like it was more, we were live every day for, I think the first day was like 10 and a half hours. Second day was like 11 hours.
That's grueling work, man. Yeah.
The games were good though, man. And I'm looking forward to talking about the competition there here in a second, but the facility was amazing. They look to be set up in the standard way, because they built again the natural bowl, and then the hill is, I think probably about 15 feet up. And then, but there's like a little bit of space between where the bottom of the hill rolls to. So the bottom of the hill kind of comes down.
Oh, wow.
And then the nets are kind of like right there, but everyone just sits, like has chairs and stuff, and kind of just kicks it on top of the hill. Which gave it a real fun vibe on Sunday, when there was a decent crowd watching. So, because it
looked like it.
The hometown crowd, the Lucky 15s, did pretty good, so that helped things too. That was a really exciting team to watch right now.
100%.
Yes.
Huge fan of Clint Moore too. I got to play with Clint Moore on Nexus back in 2013. He's an OG. I think he's 40 years old, still crushing it. But back when I was playing with him in 2013, I was like, "You're the Billy Wing of Europe." And for the listeners that don't know, Billy Wing was nasty. He was like, had his drop forward and may not have looked like he was gonna go fuck shit up, but constantly winning 1-on-3s, 2-on-3s, just low body situations. If Billy was on the field, you're like, hey, we still have a chance. Period.
Dude, Billy Wing,
absolute legend.
Yeah, he was so during the youth explosion onto pro teams in the late 90s. Billy was actually Michael was actually the really first one that picked up, but it was kind of a different situation because he didn't stick around. And then Billy started playing on the Ironman in 1997 when he was like 21 or 20. And then we got on the team in 1998. It was funny. My dad was like, hey, I need you to come over and pick up some pictures. He's a pretty gruff man. And he's like, hey, there's pictures from the house. You got to come grab them. And I'm like, what are they? He's like, they're paintball pictures. I don't know what they are. It's you playing paintball. And I was like, from when? And he's like, just come and get your pictures. And I was like, okay. So I go and find the pictures. And one of them was, you're not gonna be able to see the Billy. So anyway, one of them was it was like me, Davey, Eric Roberts, Shane. And I mean, you guys might be able to see how young these dudes look.
For the YouTubers.
If I email you a picture, can you guys throw it up on?
Oh yeah,
you can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll put it on PTG though tomorrow. Not right now, but we'll post it up. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, well, there was I mean, I might be able to just show that. I don't even know if those will come off in the camera, but.
And then for the YouTubers, you can hop into the YouTube, check out this picture. It is coming through. We got it here. You can see the crew.
There's Billy Wing on right there. That's Billy Wing. Look how young Billy looks. And then Eric Roberts.
Oh, damn, on the far right. Yeah. Okay, there he is.
Yeah. Brian Benini, who owns Push. Davey Williamson, shirtless. Damn. I'm right behind the dude. I'm the dude with the really good hair right beside Davey.
Damn, look at you, legends.
Let him know, Matty.
And you look at how young Shane looks, bro. Look how young Shane looks.
Yeah, oh, man.
Crazy.
That was in 99
awesome.
when we won Toulouse. But
amazing.
But that's the thing. So it's like when you're thinking of best fields, you have to kind of, is the field permanent or is this field set up? Because you go to World Cup or Toulouse or, these different things. And, sustainability is just such a big issue there. So that's kind of the thing that I just love that Ainsley has done. And also I totally agree with you, Marcel. And I definitely was singing his praises on the webcast. I mean, we're at his field and I'm on doing the show. I do try to say nice things about people. If I'm not going to shit on people necessarily unless it's like a totally fucked up ref call or something bad that's happening when I'm doing a live show, because I have to keep an air of professionalism. But, I couldn't say enough good things about Ainsley because,
totally,
dude,
Ainsley's
Jesus Christ,
man.
Bro. And that's a permanent facility. So yes, right. It's,
oh, wow.
But the competition is getting really, really cool over there, dude. Like, one more picture. Just real quick, one more picture. I think I showed you this picture, Marcelo.
Dude, send them. Let's get the camera roll.
Yeah,
all right, we got another one.
We'll post them up on the gram. Damn,
this is great. Tiger stripes, lower face mask.
That's me at 16 years old, bro, playing pro paintball in 1996.
So talk to me about, people don't know, you used to play with no lower face mask. Only
but they were
eyes
shooting like a ball a second.
That's an autococker.
A second?
No way.
That's an autococker, dog. It shoots at least 5 balls a second.
An autococker does not shoot 5 balls a second.
Yes,
that's the
it
thing.
does.
You guys are crazy. Like, no
way.
We need to get the actual robot.
Bro, I can give you. Okay, I have a badass
over there.
I have a badass Danny Love autococker that I promised that I could give to you, and you could shoot at 5 balls a second.
I don't know.
No problem.
Easy money.
I don't know.
Dude.
It seems like the math just doesn't add up.
What the fuck,
have you ever actually used a machine to record it? How do you know that it's 5 balls a second?
You know what? I haven't, but I'm willing to bet on it.
All right, well, coming at you. The next field test.
Let's bet $20 on it.
The next field test.
We'll bet a lunch. We'll bet a lunch on it.
All right, we'll bet a lunch.
I gotta.
The way you and I hang out will be more than $20. So
$20 isn't worth my time. Come on, what is that?
Who's up on lunches anyway? I feel like it might be your turn anyway. Actually, I think it might be my turn. I can't remember.
That's funny. It's funny. I was thinking about that because we used to go back and forth. I'm like, man, we haven't gone a long time. So how do you even start that back up again? Like, that's a problem, Maddie. That means that's a problem. I know you've been busy with dad life. I get it. We've been busy with PTG, but come on,
you're
dude.
like just this world gallivanting paintball dude who just oh, Maddie, I can't, dog. I'm teaching a clinic in down in Bolivia. You know what I'm saying?
So how I know you're
this team from the rainforest
clinics anymore. That's how I know you're lying. I've
Sorry,
got two
what I meant
teams
to
that
say,
work full time.
was, yeah, dude, there's like a 2.5 on 2.5 down in Bolivia, dog, in the rainforest and shit. And I'm coaching a team. You know what I'm saying? So like, I just
There we
can't.
go.
I
That
can't make
sounds
it to your
fun.
kid's birthday party. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. No, I'm just
It's a
fucking with
big
you, bro.
world. It's a big world. I gotta
big
give
world.
a major love to all the European players out there and the 15s. We had a message from the 15s actually, so major love to them as well. And thank you to
Oh, we
everybody
did?
out there. Yeah, I
Ooh.
think he might have sent it to my IG, and then he was just like, "Yo, give us a shout out, 15s, let's go."
Yeah, dude, the Lucky 15s are really good. So I remember I think it was probably also 2014, I was playing with 13 or 14. So maybe I was playing with Nexus and Clint Moore in 2014. I was playing with Hulk in 2013 with Mouse. We went over, played with this Ukrainian team, but the Lucky 15s were our rival. We were playing semi-pro over in Europe. They were super young because they're still young. They're still a young team.
They are.
And
yeah.
And they were just good. They were really good. And so Ryan and I ended up going out to Ainsley's Field years later. We did a clinic there, got to meet all the lucky guys. That kid Greeny showed up. Coffee's really good. I mean, their team is they're full of a lot of studs, and they obviously have a great facility to train at. And watching them all weekend was like, man, these kids are fearless. You know, that team plays absolutely fearless. And then to have Clint Moore, who again, he's just such a rock. And I think he won a couple, low body situations over the weekend. That's a good recipe for a successful organization. You have players that are willing to just roll the dice, see what they can take. And then you also have that other gear in a player that can kind of slow the game down and manage the game when things go wrong. Right.
Dude, for sure. And I'm glad, look, I would like to definitely spend a decent amount. We'll see how long we can, I'm down to talk how long you want. At some point, I'll probably have to use the restroom, but
We're going the distance.
Is that for sure to give respect to these the European pros? I mean, everyone that's over there, but I didn't really get to see anything other than the 20 pro teams. But bro, I was so excited to get back over there because again, like I just showed that picture of us winning Toulouse at 99, and that was the first time that I ever went overseas to play a paintball tournament, and ever since then, we have been going over to Europe quite a bit. I played with Joy Division in 2001. We were kind of actually the first guys that were like American mercenaries to go over and play for a European pro team. Magid was the guy who used to run Joy Division. He was kind of like the first guy that said, hey, why don't we can do this. The rules allow us to do this. Hey, Matty, you want to grab you and two other Ironmen and you can come over and we won Brighton Beach in 2001. But so I've been watching that for years, and now we're in fucking 2022, and it's been so cool to see the progression. Then with COVID, I was wondering, well, how good are these guys going to look? Who's going to look the best? Dude, we went into Sunday, and if we go down this list of who made it to the top 8, like I could really argue that every single one of those teams had a chance to win the event. Top 8.
Nice.
I legit argument, man. Like every Lucky 15s, Gladiatori, Paris Camp Carnage, Toulouse Tauntauns, Breakout Spa, Joy Division, Verse Factory, who I'd never heard of, but that was Blake's team. And then the Camp Hummel Raiders, who won the last event. So, every single one of those teams had somewhat of a chance, an argument at least where we could say, well, here's why they could potentially win this event. That's the top 8 teams. And then the teams that got knocked out, Firm had a kind of a rough one there. But what a crazy story for Firm, because Firm got mercy ruled. Imagine showing up on Friday and you go 0-2 with a -10. That's your day one. Not only do you lose, you get the shit kicked out of you. And so then they show up day 2 with no choice but to mercy rule both their games to have any chance of hell of making it on Sunday. And even if they do that, 2-2 is 0, the even point spread, good luck, man. Most times you're going home. And sure enough, that's exactly what they do. So they mercy rule both their games and barely skate in. And then PP Arena, who was undefeated in the prelims, and I think they were undefeated. They might have lost one, but PP Arena also looked pretty good. But the top 8, anyway, but I like that we're starting the conversation off with the Lucky 15s, because that, even though Breakout Spa won, much more experienced
I think Lucky
team.
15s are the story of the event. Breakout is the most experienced. They've been in that position many times. Huge congrats to those guys, too. I think it's their first European pro win, which is amazing. They've been in the hunt. I mean, they were in the hunt when the U.S. top teams were going over there. You had, Impact, Heat, Golden State Kings or whatever iteration of, mix of like dynasty players would go over there.
Expendables.
Yeah. Expendables, Breakout was still a top 4 team. They just never won. And so it was a matter of time. And, they definitely, in my opinion, I think they underperformed in Germany and at the last event to finally get the win it's been a long time coming. But the Lucky 15s to me were the story of the whole event. It being in their hometown, everybody wanted them to win. It was like, I don't know, it just seemed like watching them. There was a little bit of a magic around them, and they were playing
100%.
an exciting brand of paintball too. They were fun
100%.
to watch.
Dude, they first, so it was crazy. So my experience with the Lucky 15 started with, I've been hearing about the Lucky 15s for years. I don't think I've ever seen them play a game, but I've been hearing about them for a long time. So I don't know what any of these dudes look like. And my travel day to get to, cause it was kind of like a last minute trigger pull to get me over there. And, so I had to fly out of LA. So I have to drive from San Diego to LA. My flight's at 6:10, and then, park my car at long-term parking, take the shuttle over, get on the plane. Dude, American Airlines is, British Airways was better on the way back, but bro, I couldn't sleep like a wink on the way there. Cause I'm like a little over 6'1", and my knees are just slammed on this. And I just, for some reason I couldn't sleep. I was pounding red wine. I could not sleep. Anyway, so I don't sleep at all. And then I flew into London, and the event is north of Birmingham. So that's like multiple trains, and like, it's quite a bit of ways. So then I have to take a train from Heathrow to Paddington Station. I decided to walk the 2 miles with my shit to the other train station. Cause I'd been
Dude,
like,
I actually just saw this video on your Instagram. You posted something about this, right?
I think I did.
Yeah,
but
I just saw that.
so I'm like, so I walked the 2 miles, carrying my shit. And it was, because I really wanted to, I just wanted to kind of move my legs a little bit, dude. So,
Oh yeah.
so then I get to the other station anyway. It's a 2-hour train up to Birmingham, or up to Stafford past Birmingham. And then I have to get a ride. Anyway, so by the time I get in, I'm just like, travel all messed up. And then, and it's not like, Ainsley hooked it up, and it was awesome as far as like, oh, here's your hotel. He's like, this dude's got your key. So my first experience with Lucky 15s, no one's like, hey, Ainsley's not like, hey, my dudes are going to come grab you and go to dinner. My dude's going to drop the key off. This is Greeny. He plays for my team. Random dude pops out of the little tiny English hotel and gives me the key. It's Greeny from the Lucky 15s. I've never seen this dude in my entire life. And he's like, hey, Matty Marshall, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, dude, how you doing? What's your name? He's like, James. And I was like, oh, dude, nice to meet you. And then they call me Greeny. I'm like, oh, cool. Thank you so much. He's like, hey, we're going to head out and get a bite. Are you hungry? I was like, dude, I'm starving. And I'm like, when are you heading out? He's like 10 minutes. I'm like, fuck. Okay. I've been literally going nonstop for 20 hours, but anyway, go. So then I jump in the car, and like, I'm all kind of fucked up. And then, so I get to the thing. And so there was, so Clint was there, but I hadn't seen Clint in like 4 or 5 years. So then I go up to all the dudes. I don't even know it's the Lucky 15s. I have no clue. I'm going out to dinner with random paintball dudes. I've not been told who these guys are at all. And then, so then I get up there. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm introducing myself, and I go to Clint Moore, who I definitely know for sure. And I'm like, what's up, dude? Matty. And he's like, oh, Matty, is that how you pronounce your name? And I was like, yeah, like, that's all good, dude. Anyway, so then I sit down, and then quickly find out that it's all the Lucky 15s dudes. But I had such a good time because, and then I had to apologize to Clint later, like, brother, I'm so sorry. I definitely know who you are. We've met a million times. We've drank beers together. Like, we played against each other, like, whole deal. Anyway, but those dudes were awesome. And one of the reasons it was fun was they had giant ass chips on their shoulders, the size of Gibraltar, and were just super confident and cocky as fuck. And just like, it was just really fun because it reminded me of us when we were younger, and all the good paintball players I've ever met, the guys destined for greatness. And they had charisma. They were, I mean, definitely, again, very cocky and confident, but in like kind of a fun way for the most part. Some more than others.
That's kind of the British culture too, though, is like they like to talk shit. When I played on Nexus, I really, and that's why Clint and I we're honestly pretty good friends. We talk quite a bit, but it's always just banter of like talking shit to each other, and that's like actually our common ground. That's the bond, is being able to banter back and forth and talk shit and like,
yeah,
100%,
So it's
great.
it was great. But I told him, because I looked at one, and I was like, oh man, I really hope you guys do well tomorrow. And I told it was Mason Hines, who had a great weekend, man. I mean, we're singing. We'll again get into the team a little bit, but so I said to Mason, because he was sitting directly across from me, and some of the other dudes are a little bit farther away. So I was like, hey man, good luck tomorrow. And he's like, and he looks at me, he's like, no, we don't need it. And I was like, oh, you don't need the good luck? Good luck, bro. All right, yeah, you don't need good luck. All right, man. Everyone needs good luck. Dynasty needs good luck. Everyone needs good luck.
I've learned that I'll take all the good luck I can get.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's like someone wishes me good luck. I'm like, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. I hope you're right. I would love some good luck tomorrow, because I'm trying as hard as I can out here, and I'll take the luck anyway. It's like we always say, I'd rather be lucky than good, and twice on Sundays. And ideally, you need to be both. But he was just, and he's one of the more kind of not as cocky, quieter guys, but more cerebral. He plays the 2 behind Spencer Tilbury. And Spencer and Coffee are definitely cocky as hell for sure. But dude, it was just fun. And then he's 40 now, like Marcel, like you were saying, and he's definitely and it was funny though, because after the first day, he comes up, he's like, Matty, salty veteran, the 40-year-old, miracle that's playing on these with these younger guys. I'm like, bro, where's the lie there? I mean, all I did is just say exactly what you are, Yeah, it was kind of reminded me of the meme. And I think Marcel,
I love that Clint was like panting about how hot it was, and it was like barely 80 degrees. I was like, oh, dude, you guys are hilarious. It looks like perfect weather. I was like, one thing I was most upset about is the weather was perfect for paintball.
The hottest it was like maybe 82 degrees, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's great.
But no humidity. It was really nice. I mean, yeah, okay, that's not 70. But yeah, it was just
couldn't
funny.
Stop talking about how hot it was.
But it reminded me Clint reminds me of that meme. I think I sent it to you, Marcelo, but even though you're not that old yet, I definitely sent it to all the older Dynasty guys. But it was just a random meme I saw that I thought was hilarious, because it's definitely some of the paintball guys right now, some of the elder statesmen, as we say. But it said, me, I'm in the prime of my life. I've never felt better. Sports broadcaster. There he goes, 35 years old, oldest man in the league. What a miracle. What an absolute pillar.
Yeah. What a miracle.
What a miracle.
Damn it, dude. Yeah, I got a taste of that. I was leaving the gym, little side note, little story. I play basketball at the local LA Fitness, and there's this kid that I've been playing with basketball. There for hey, come get it, Ty. We've been talking about this. I'm not afraid of you on the basketball court. I'll tell you that. I'm not afraid of you anywhere. Let's go. So this kid that I've been playing with, he's younger for sure. He's super cocky, always talking smack. So part of the thing is like a little bit of the banter too. And we were walking out, and I just cooked him on the court. Like, we played probably 3 or 4 5-on-5 games. He was the one defending me, and it was just like nonstop buckets. All right. Total lockdown defense too. He got no buckets. And we're walking out, and he's talking shit. And he's like, dude, I've been coming here like way longer than you. I'm like, I don't think so, dude. I've been coming here for a while. And he's like, I've been coming here since I was 13. I'm like, how old are you? He's like 22. I'm like, yeah, I've been coming here longer than you. I've been coming here since 2010. And it is like, he's like, how old are you? I'm like, 32. He's like, what? He's like, no way, bro. There's no way you're 32. I was like, I'll take that as a compliment. He was like perplexed. He's like, dude, you look good. That makes me happy. I was
Marcelo, you're 32? Yeah. I thought you were 28, dog.
The gig is up, dude. I do a podcast now. Everybody knows how old I am. Everybody knows that I'm one of the old guys now. That's the joke.
Remember, I'm always like 28, right? Because I still, in my mind, I'm like, because I'm keep getting older. But, it's like Tyler, Jesus Christ. When I met Tyler, he was like knee high to a grasshopper. And now I'm like, before I was like, hey, what's up, kid? How you doing, dude? Yeah, you gonna come get some games with us? Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. You're really good for your age. I can't believe you're 12. Now I'm like, what's up, Tyler? Hey, man, good to see you, brother. Yeah, how are the kids doing? Yeah, they're doing good. That's awesome,
Dude. And so Oliver said happy birthday. He said the same thing. He was like, how, you turned 28 again? Oh, no, he said 18, actually. Yep. Funny. Yeah, 28 and holding. That was the old Lasoya thing.
Man.
It was like, we're old men. We're old men. We're old men. I had this young kid that honestly, I feel like we're the same age when we're, hanging out. Like I feel like we're the same age. And then he finds out my age and is blown away. And so you could take that as a compliment, but I took it as like my number's that damn old that it's like, it's surprising that I can do this stuff. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Because I don't feel old. And I was talking about this, Matty, maybe you could elaborate on it a little bit. I actually believe in my heart that paintball is like a fountain of youth. It truly is. The fact that we have this as our job, our career, and our everyday life, this lifestyle is very youthful. It's very playful. It's very,
100%.
you have these great connections. You're not in the normal, rigorous rat race. And hey, okay if you are, but that's not our lifestyle whatsoever. We've kind of grown up in a little bit of a fantasy like playground kind of situation, and so although the numbers are stacking up and now it's 32. I won't ask you how old you are, Matty, on the show. It's okay.
I'm 44. I don't care. I'm proud of it, dude. I mean, I'm over the bullshit. I'm 29 and holding. Fuck that. I'm 44 years old, dude. 45 in December. Day before Christmas.
There we go.
Day before Christmas is my birthday, dude. It's all good.
Go. Hell
yeah,
there
PTG. Put it in
Christmas
the calendar.
Eve,
Send him that love.
Send him Christmas, love. Baby.
Yeah.
But it's, when I meet other people my age, it's hard for me to explain because I can communicate with them and obviously connect on a level of maturity. It's not that per se. Like I feel like they're older, but not in a more mature way. It's just, I feel like there's still such a child that's a part of me, and I don't know how to really put it into words. It's a tough thing to describe. I have friends that maybe I knew in high school, or if I meet somebody in an airport and they're the same age, I'm just like, you just like seem so much older. I don't know if it's stress or what it might be, or your job and the way you need to be in your everyday life. I'm not quite sure. I can't pinpoint it, but I know, and I truly believe that I share this with other paintball players that have the same thing, that it's just a youthful sport. It keeps you young. Yeah, go ahead.
No, well, just to kind of co-sign on what you're saying, I feel that it's interesting. Again, a gift of the game is that there's the oldness of the soul and the youthfulness of the spirit. Because what does like an old soul really mean? All that really means is that people that meet you perceive you to be wise beyond your years, because you're experienced, and that can come from a strength of character or a applying of charisma that may be fake. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's like you just are naturally charismatic enough or intelligent enough that people are like, oh, that's an old soul, or empathetic enough. Like you have enough, because there's emotional intelligence, which the older you get, you realize that's almost as important as the actual firepower and horsepower of your actual brain. Having emotional intelligence is pretty key. So that's the youthful, again, the youthfulness of the spirit comes from. So you have the old soul, and then the youthfulness of the spirit. So yeah, we're doing novelty constantly. Seeing new things, meeting new people. Like I just went and met, I don't know, probably a ton of new people. Met a lot of old friends. And had a new experience. I'd never been to that field. I mean, I've been to England a bunch of times, but and so even though I just had a really crazy 5-6 days and I'm jet lagged, my spirit is soaring right now. I could sit here and talk for hours empathetically and emphatically about the people I met, their stories. I remember those faces and those names, and I'm just super excited to talk about the Lucky 15s and some of these other teams and the experience. And so that's, again, the gift of the game, because, it was kind of like, it was like talking to Quinn about how pissed off some people were about his, top paintball players of all time, and how you would have some people just being like, no, I should have been, it's like, it's just so pissed off that they were, 45th instead of 25th. And it's like, on a random dude's, a guy that's a huge super fan that had the balls to just be like, you know what, I'm going to create a site. It's going to be called Iconic Paintball. I've been watching this forever, and I'm a smart dude, and I know how to write. You know what I'm saying? Like Quinn, I love Quinn. I love what he's doing. I think he's an awesome, again, an asset to the sport. And anyone that's willing to do like something like that is an asset to the sport. And he put his list together, and he had the balls to put it out there. And then, some of the people on the list were like, you fucking asshole. I can't believe you would ruin my career like this and tarnish my image and my legacy by putting me at 45 instead of 25. And I had to tell him when he was talking, he's like, dude, Matty, some people are getting so pissed about this. And I'm like, first of all, it's like that whole, and then I think I read this on the podcast last time with you guys, but the whole Teddy Roosevelt man in the arena quote, which I absolutely love. Yeah. And I said, you know what, you got in the arena, Quinn, you decided to you know, you're a smart dude and you've been watching this. And that's the one thing when I started talking to Quinn, I mean, he definitely knows a decent amount about the game. I mean, he's been a super fan for a long time. He's a maven, and he cares, and that's important.
Yes.
And that's basically like all journalists ever. That's what journalists are. But what I told him, I was like, look, man, you have to understand that the reason why people are getting so mad at you is that, and it's like, and think about who we're talking about, these people that are so pissed at him. A lot of these guys are incredibly well off and incredibly successful, even if they didn't come from much, you know, whatever it may be. These are dudes crushing it in life. They have families, they have kids. Their kids are good looking. Their wives are good looking. They're making a ton of money. They may already be rich. And the thing that they're pissed off about is that Quinn put them at, you know, 38th instead of 18th. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why that is because to them, in their mind, this is such a powerful part of who they were as a human being and their human experience on planet Earth, because it's such a passionate thing. You know, you go out there and play fucking war against these other people from all over planet Earth, and we go out there and that's what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And it just brings out the beast in you, and it brings out the saint in you, and it brings out the devil in you. It brings all these things out. And at the end, you get to weigh and measure all that experience and be like, wow, what a magnificent thing that was. And in your head, you've painted your picture as to this is what it is. And then but your own opinion of things is just one of everyone that was also there, you know. And that's why I love my job, is I get to talk to all these people, and I'm trying to collect all of those different intellects and all of that input, and then try to catalyze that into some pit of a narrative that I can give to people to make them give a shit. Because Tyler, before you had asked me, you know, what lessons have you learned? And we got kind of sidetracked a little bit, but you know, the end, you can definitely distill that. The message I would try to give to people is that, and then Marcelo, again, you have brought this up because you and I have definitely talked about this, is that no one wakes up in the morning and gives a shit about anything. You have to make them care. Human beings are emotional robots. The way our brain, and this is not psychology. This is biology. It's the way we are wired. It's how we literally consume reality. The more we know about the mind, the more that the mind is really a narrative producing machine to excuse your behavior and continue to keep you fucking alive and moving forward with whatever is going. It's like the elephant and the rider metaphor. You know, I got a ton of interesting books in this section over here about all this. Jonathan Haidt has talked about this. Some of the foremost psychologists, they've done a lot of experiments about this. But, you know, you have the limbic brain, the neocortex, the dorsolateral frontal cortex, and all these different parts of your brain that do certain things. And you can go down that scientific rabbit hole. But all the gist of that really is that we tell fucking stories. That's what we do. Yuval Harari, who wrote Sapiens, talks about it as the intersubjective narrative. You know, it's our superpower.
Yeah. But we actually talked about this a little bit prior. And for anybody who wants to see the book collection, hop onto the YouTube. He's got thousands of dollars worth of books behind him right now.
Yeah, dude, if you guys want to nerd out about books, I got a ton of them, bro. Yeah, no, I love talking about books. But
yes, sir.
Yeah, but I think, you know, to kind of wrap that up and kind of, you know, complete the circle, Marcelo, with this specific point, is that but yeah, that's what both it ages your soul, but enlivens and youthens your spirit. And again, that's the gift of the game. You know, because then it
might be the biggest gift.
That can talk about the science of that 100%. You know, because all you get at the end, it's like, dude, this is not Formula One. This is not the Live Golf League paying fucking dudes a king's ransom to hit a small white ball around a grass field. This isn't, you know, Bryce Harper making.
Hey, don't downplay the difficulties of hitting a small white ball around a grass field. Okay.
Hey, well, let's nerd out about golf. I'm down. That shit is the hardest thing to do ever. I mean, paintball is hard. But it's like, for some reason, I don't know why, but like hitting the small white ball that's not moving, that's just standing at your feet, and everyone has to be quiet. Jesus Christ, I don't know why that's so hard, but that's just really hard.
It's really not hard. As hard on the range. It's so easy on the range. How come when you get on the course, it just seems like a nightmare?
On the range, it definitely seems like a nightmare. I was thinking though, Tyler, I think I've told you about this. I just have this in the way that my photos are. This one always just pops up because I took it on this one app called Snapseed. Ladies and gentlemen, look at Tyler Harmon just puffing on a stogie here, bro. Puffing on like a 14-inch stogie right now on the golf course. Look
Yeah.
at this. Look at that gem right there, bro.
Let it be known.
Oh,
Let
dude.
it be known.
Let it be known.
That
Also,
is a
like-
gem right there.
Like a young Michael Jordan in his prime. Let's go.
And Tyler
Straight
Harmon
up.
can hit some bombs,
Straight
ladies
up.
and gentlemen. He's a big dude. He get them long arms going, the
Yes.
big lever.
Oh.
He can hit some bombs.
My next chapter is pro golf. I'm headed there. We're going to
Dude,
me and Theo. Young Theo loves playing
Steph
golf.
Curry.
So yeah, me and Theo hit the range. We go and play golf.
Good.
I'm willing to bet
mean,
Steph
yeah.
Curry pursues a pro golf career after basketball.
he is really good, but it's so like, so Michael Jordan at one point was like a scratch handicap, and he wanted to play. There's interviews of him being, talking early on in his, basketball. I mean, he was probably, I don't know, at that point he was Michael Jordan, like not quite the greatest ever, but the greatest at that time, at that time. And he played golf all the time, and he was like, in interviews was like, I could see myself pursuing pro golf after this. And he just has not even ever come even close to ever getting there. Golf is so difficult, dude.
It is
so difficult.
I think Jordan had a lot of other stuff going on, to be honest. He probably could have.
I don't think he could have, to be honest, because I don't think anyone loves golf as much. Like Michael Jordan loves golf so much. He bought his own golf course. All that dude does now.
I know, but
he plays golf all the time.
Drinking.
If he was, there was a story of Michael Jordan that one time they went and played. Michael Jordan loved to have a good time, but he was a competitive beast, like one of the greatest competitive beasts of all time. And there was a story about how he went and played 36 holes and drank like 12 beers, or maybe even like 18 beers in a day. And then went up and put like 45 up on the Hawks or something like that, like in a day. Like that was his day. Like he showed up in the morning and played 2 rounds of golf, crushed a case of beer, and then went up, put 46 up on Atlanta. Like, I mean,
that's pretty nuts.
What a legend.
That's pretty nuts.
What a legend, dude. What a legend.
Damn, man. Yeah, sports in general are just the best time. Like, I'm just a sports fanatic. I've played the traditional, the extreme, and everything in between. And I love snowboarding. I love golf. I love paintball. Those are my big 3. And as often as I can, I'm doing one of those sports every week. Either in the winter, go to the mountain with the fam, and then hit the paintball field during the week. Go to the range with Theo. Hit the links with Victor. Shout out to Vic. G2 Paintball out here.
Shout out to Vic, baby.
Arizona,
Vic, dude.
Yep.
That's awesome. Love Vic.
Yes, sir.
Every team needs a Vic. If you could get a Vic on your team, you are one lucky dog.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
it's imperative. You gotta have the pit crew has to be dialed in. Heat knows it, Impact knows it, Dynasty knows it. All the top teams know that. If you don't have that, you're gonna be putting yourself at a disadvantage right off the break, right?
Well, I mean, think about how hard it is to get a good coach. And then at the pit crew, that's even a more of a job that just isn't really appreciated as much as it should be. Because, I mean, think about it. It's like, as we well know, to get into the flow state, I mean, dude, you don't want to be worried about loading pods and, going over it and doing the whole, because like figuring out, I guess some people want to figure out what's the best batch, whatever, dude, all the stuff, getting the waters, all that shit. It's like, if you can just show up and put your headphones in or whatever, slap each other in the face, whatever you need to do to get into the mindset to go and about to be in the flow state, like you need to be able to do that. And if you have someone that loves the sport enough and loves the team enough and is willing to, and then like that, yeah, dude, anyone that can get a Vic around, bro, those dudes are worth their weight in gold, man. For sure.
Yeah, and Vic brings a lot more than just like typical pit duties. He comes to all of our practices, films all of our practices, and that like the footage of our practices, I argue, is one of the most, for me personally, it's one of the most valuable things for me. I have so much content to consume leading up to an event, learning about, why certain packages or situations work or don't work. I get to see it over and over and over, and you really get to dissect, naysayers are like, oh, well, I played the point. Why do I need to watch it? I know what happened. Okay, buddy. No, you don't. There's a reason. There's a reason NFL, NBA, NHL, any legitimate sport, these athletes have mandatory film room sessions with their teams. It's mandatory. You can't get out of it. You have to watch a certain amount of film. And then the really elite players in each of them, they watch triple, quadruple that amount of film. It's not a secret. It's not a secret.
You'd appreciate this, Marcella. So I'm sitting there with the Lucky 15. So again, my Lucky, dude, I hung out the Lucky 15s like almost every single day. because we were staying at the same hotel. And right before they went and played Sunday, which they did really well at, and we definitely need to finish our London and European paintball conversation. But I'm a huge tangent guy, so I will
Don't
do
stop.
this all the time. So I'll bring us back in, and one of you guys can bring us back in. But so we're sitting there, and it's the last. So they're about to play Sunday, and I'm like, hey, so and it was gorgeous. Like England, just Europe in general, is so pretty in the summer because in the northern latitudes it stays light until like 10 o'clock at night. And so this is also hilarious too, is that when I was talking to Ainsley and I'm like, hey, what hotel am I staying at? When I'm like, flying in, what hotel am I staying at? He's like, oh, I'll send you the info. So he sends me the info and I look at it, and you guys will get a kick out of this. My wife certainly did. So the hotel was called the Spread Eagle. And so I'm like, oh, the Spread Eagle. And I look at it's like the Spread Eagle. I'm like, dude, you put me at some sort of.
I prefer the Bald
resort?
Eagle down the way.
Yeah, I'm like, is this like a swingers resort? Like, dude, what did you know? Joking around with them. I'm like, where did you put me? He's like, no, it's a family. It's like a family institution. I'm like, oh yeah, really? The Spread Eagle's a family institution. Sure enough, we get there and there's a playground there. And every night my room was right by the playground. So I'm trying to go to sleep and I'm listening to kids just scream bloody murder. And there's like 50 kids playing on this. It's like a huge playground by the Spread Eagle. Anyway, but there was some nice little benches out there. So on Saturday, there was barely anybody there. And so I was hanging out with the Lucky 15s, but I did say to them like, hey, did you guys watch tape today? Have you guys kind of gone through your opponents and what could or couldn't happen, know thy enemy and, what's working for you guys, what's not. Honestly, not much wasn't working for them. I mean, everything was working for them. So, and they were only really one-on-one play. So, but anyway, a couple of them were like, nah, that's what we got Jim for, their coach, and I'm like, do you think you guys keep asking me, because everyone kept asking me the entire time, oh, how would the Lucky 15s do in the States? How does the European pros match up against, the American pros? And anyway, and then I said to him, like, because me, I'm definitely that salty old veteran that doesn't hold his tongue when we're hanging around drinking beers. So I'm like, do you think that if the dynasty was in your guys' standpoint right now, they wouldn't be at home watching film right now or had watched film? Like, you guys can kick it on the bench if you want, and that's fine. But after you've watched the film, like, it can't just be your coach, Jim, going through all the stuff and then telling you what you're supposed to do. That's not how this shit works. So if you guys are asking me how you're going to do against the American pro teams, you'll get fucking crushed if you're not willing to watch the tape and do the work that is required post actual go out and like play the game. That's playing the game is not doing the work. That's playing the game. The work is it's a lot more thorough than that. But hats off to him. Like, dude, just and real quick, like, let's talk about the Lucky 15s real quick so we can move on to some of these other teams, because like, I just think that these dudes deserve their credit, because Jesus Christ, it was such a crazy story. The Lucky 15s ran one play, and in the prelims were just, they beat Camp Pendleton Raiders, who won the last event. Now the Camp Pendleton Raiders didn't have Marcelo, didn't have Bobby. They did have Greg Sewers, and Greg was looking pretty damn good.
Greg played great.
Greg played really outstanding. Good. He really
it's great
did.
That he's back out there. I love that.
That was such a bummer. Bobby and I both were like, Greg, dude, you got to come play. We just won the event. We got this well-oiled machine. It's all set up. We're going to go in, kick butt, drink some beers, hang out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come on, Greg. He's like, all right. He like pulled so many strings to make it happen. And then Bobby and I both get COVID. He can't go. We're like, Greg,
oh man,
good luck, dude. You gotta lead the charge, brother. And what?
Would have been
Greg is just he's such a trooper.
Yeah. It would have been Marcelo. It really would have been I don't know what the story how it would have changed, but the fact that you won the MVP and honestly, brother, I'm not just telling you this because I love you and we're on the show together, but everyone was like hardcore singing your praises at this event, because they're, first of all, everyone enjoys spending time with you. The Europeans, you've definitely ingratiated yourself to them. But
love them.
You were murdering people at the last event, so they were just like, "Where's Is Marcelo coming? Where's Marcelo? Oh man, he was on fire! Like he, like, don't get me wrong, because Bobby played lights out at the last event for sure too. But you did win the MVP, and everyone was just like, he was just joysticking over there. He was just so. If Bobby had both been there with Greg, I mean, dude, that would have been. I don't know how that would have changed the story. You never know how fate wants
Well, we would
to
have won.
weave the narrative.
Anything can happen, but I'm so confident in that team because it's not just me, Bobby, and Greg. Steven on that team is a really good player as well. Sawyer, Mazurek is really good. He got the Finals MVP in Germany. You know, he's dynamite. He used to play for Elevation over in the States, and honestly, if he gets a chance in the Pro Division again, he's going to do very well. I think he had an opportunity this year to play with the Ironmen, but because me and Bobby were trying to do this thing with the Raiders, he said, okay, you know what? I'll wait another year because you can only have one US pro player. But he just gets it. He's really intelligent, has a lot of the fundamentals, and you know, isn't afraid to kind of go and make some moves and make stuff happen. And so the team is really good. And you know, of course, you know, you never know what could have happened, but that brand of like just heavily attack. And I do want to talk about this for a little bit because in my mind, what the Europeans need to do to elevate to the next level, if they want to compete with what the US teams are doing, they need to have more than one style. So in Germany, it was the same thing. I was shooting the snake runner off the break every single point, and they just kept running. They just continued to do the same thing. And it was like either be super aggressive and win that way, or we don't have a second option. Right. And so that was how Lucky 15s were winning, is they were just running everywhere. And it seems like the US teams and the US players are so good at zone control now. You know, we're so good at managing the game time and the game clock and the situation that you have to play to those. And that's what I don't see the European teams doing. You could correct me if I'm wrong, Matty, but how many times over the weekend, because it was a ton in Germany, countless times against Tauntauns on Sunday, it happened with us. In England, I saw it a bunch as well, where say scores 2-2 and there's like 3 minutes left. And one team, Team A, shoots two players from Team B. It's a 5-on-3. Team B just sits there and lets the time tick down. No one tries to make a move. No one does anything. They're trying to cross it up and zone up. They kill 2.5 minutes and there's 30 seconds left. And then Team A wins the point and there's no time for Team B to come back. Like that is, you know, management 101.
There was definitely, it was weird, man. Well, it wasn't weird. It's just, I definitely not having gone, you know, with COVID and then also, and just, we hadn't been over there in a while, or I hadn't been over there in a while, is that I was really fascinated to see what it was going to look like. And we were talking about this, I think, well, I don't know. I think we mentioned it here. But there was, is that every team that went to the quarterfinals, I could make you an argument that they could potentially win it. And the style over there, also, and everyone in the States, if you have a chance to check out European paintball, if there are a lot of compelling stories over there, they actually play an interesting brand of paintball because there's limited paint. So you only have 4 pods to work with and a hopper. And so it actually does create, for the most part, on the aggregate, a more aggressive brand of paintball, because you can't just sit there and pump 3 pods through a lane to hold a dude from getting into a spot. So, you know, a good guy gets in a spot, an intelligent, smart front player, and he can read the streams, and he's looking at this lane. He's like, bro, I'm not about to run through this lane. This guy's not stopped shooting. He's shot 3 pods through this lane. I've just literally been watching flashes of paint go through this lane I'm about to run. I'm not going to run through this lane until I can either we shoot that guy, I kill somebody, like, until something changes, I'm not going to give my body up by running through this lane like an idiot. And so you can't do that in Europe. You cannot just sit on a lane and hold it down. So it allows a little bit of freedom of movement, which does create a very interesting brand of paintball. And yeah, I mean, I think the Lucky 15s, they did show us in the game against Gladiatori, and then against Carnage, because the way that Gladiatori couldn't, no one could match. Lucky's went, they beat everyone by mercy rule in the prelims. It was they literally went 4-0 with a plus 15, you know, like, or sorry, plus 20. Like they murdered everybody. Like it wasn't even close. And I mean, and then they go into Sunday and I kept asking, and I told them too when we were hanging out, I'm like, hey man, like what happens when somebody brings you into the deep water? You guys just be prepared for that. Like it's gonna eventually happen. I doubt you're just gonna, you know, win the tournament by first degree murder. So, you know, you should probably be ready for that. And they're like, no one's going to be able to stop us. We have other game plans. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. And they did get drug into the water. Just real quick. So Marcelo, Coffee comes up after, I think it was the Gladiatori game. And he comes up, and I'm up in the booth, and I hear this, Matty. It's getting a British accent, and this was a common occurrence for me this weekend. So I'm like, who needs me? So I look over and I'm like, what's up? And it's Coffee, and he's like, what were you saying about the mud? And I was in his thick British accent, and I'm like, what was I saying about the mud, bro? I don't remember anything about mud. And he's like, the mud. And I was like, I don't think I said anything about mud. What are you talking about? And he's like, but then it made sense. He's like, oh, when we were having problems. And then I was like, oh, the deep water? Oh yeah. As in like, you can swim when you can touch your feet to the ground. But when I drag your ass in the deep water and throw your head underneath the water for, like a Navy SEAL training and, do like the spin you around in a circle, like then we'll see if you really can swim. And is that what you're talking about? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, what'd you think? And so this is why I think it does bode well for Lucky 15s. I feel like this is what I would say about the Lucky 15. So Mason Hines, I feel like he's like a really good second attacker. And if he could he's smart enough that he could be like like another Clint. Like Clint was masterful this weekend, last weekend. I mean, he won multiple low body situations. He was he was incredibly clutch for those dudes. But Mason over there behind us. So because the big story, the name we have to talk about is Spencer Tilbury, and he was very adamant that I pronounce his name right. And again, everyone out there, like, here's how it works. I'm gonna say your name the way it reads, and if I mess it up, then I'm gonna do the best. And I do have some experience in reading these names, but it's sometimes if it's like Greg Sewers is a perfect example, because we've been calling him Sewers for like 8 years. I mean, I've known Greg since he was 15 years old. And then, maybe 8 years into our relationship, he's like, hey, Matty, can I talk to you real quick? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's up, Greg? What's up, dog? And he's like, I just want to let you know that my name is pronounced Sewers, not Sewers. And I'm like,
what?
Really? Really, bro? Like, I mean, it's only been 8 years, dude. Like, I'm going to do my best at this point, but I don't know. I mean, I'm still going to mess it up. Anyway, so Spencer Tilbury.
I was a young Marcelo Margot.
That's true. But because that name is typically pronounced Margot, but then
never with two T's. Literally, we put the extra T so that Margot. The French version is one T.
Oh, I was gonna say, because there was a guy that played on the Padres and he was Margot
with two T's.
I can't remember if it was one T or two T's, but
one T for sure.
How the fuck am I supposed to know that two T's means that you did pronounce it that way?
I thought it was obvious. It's like
totally obvious. Hey, bro, I got an
reinforce that you say the T.
Hey, I have an English degree from San Diego State. Guess what? And there's nothing at no point like with.
Well, they obviously didn't teach you Italian.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't teach me shit on Italian. But yes, no, you were a Margot for sure, but only for a little bit, because also
only for a little bit.
Well, here's the thing too, is that if you are really good, because sometimes people will be like, Matty, say good things about me. I'm like, that's not how this works, dude. Here's how it works. You go out there and participate in the battle, and then if you're doing really awesome, I'm forced to figure out who you are and how to pronounce your name. And if you suck, then also if you're really good, I'm forced to say good things about you because you're doing really good. And if you're doing really bad, I'm forced to say, how bad you're doing, because that's the job, man. That's it. So it's up to you. It's between you and you. You have 100% to do with this. I'm just basically the microphone to be like, and here goes Marcelo. He's running he shot 3 dudes from the D side. Oh my God, it was an amazing point for Marcelo. And then if you're not doing well, I'm like, Marcelo takes an early walk here. It's unfortunate because that's really going to hurt the team. It has nothing to do with me. It's up to you. And then I'll do my best on the names. Anyway, so again, Spencer, I'm sorry if I'm ruining this lap, but I think it's Tilbury. Again, there's a little bit of like the English pronunciation on this last one, because I was like Tilbury, and they're like, no, it's Tilbury. And I was like, okay.
Tilbury.
Yeah, Tilbury. Spencer Tilbury.
I was going to call him Burberry.
We could just call him Spencer. I mean, that's a basic, super easy name. Anyway, his game is not basic at all, but but Spencer was just running to the D. He ran to the D5 a couple times, like to their side. He was just unstoppable, bro. Like, he's a super fast dude. Like, hey, European or American teams, if you want to pick up a missile right now, Spencer's your guy, bro. Like, this dude is cocky. He doesn't give a shit. Like, he will go. He'll do anything the coach says. Like, he's a beast out there. He's definitely, and I mean, he definitely, as all young up and coming front guys do. I think he's 22. He definitely died out of his spot more than if I was his coach, I would have liked to. But he also, I mean, I'd still give him a solid A, bro. I mean, this dude was he was just straight murdering out there, and he was setting the pace and the tempo. You know, it's like we talked about metaphors. You were mad that I was using the alcohol metaphor earlier to discuss the intricacies of the potencies, really. Well, I'm just, saying you give me a little shit, but that's fine. But the boxing metaphor I love the boxing metaphor on the strategy back and forth, because we really saw that with the Lucky 15s. Yeah. Because anyone that's done, if you've never done any boxing, go do a little bit of boxing. Not enough to give you brain damage, but just enough to give you the lessons you can get out of it. But what's fascinating about it is that, as anyone that's watched any MMA or any boxing, but the jab is like your probing weapon. The jab can be a weapon, but essentially, if you're right-handed, the jab is just going to set up your power shot, because the way that this punch goes, you're not really knocking people out with a jab, because all your body weight can get behind the overhand right. But those are very basic skills, the 1-2 combo, right? But if you do a boxing training regiment, they'll say work the numbers. So, so in paintball, that's what was good about the Lucky 15s, because they would jab with Spencer on the D side. And then on the snake side, they had both Coffee and Greeny that would be their overhand right. And dude, Greeny was on fire. Even though Coffee's the faster guy, Greeny was the dude that was getting more 2 and 3 packs. And so they were riding the hot hand, and rightfully so. And Coffee had some really good points too. But then the jab sets up the overhand right, which sets up the left hook. And the left hook was Mason Hines, and Mason Hines was outstanding as the second dude behind Spencer. And really the power of that finish, and then the devastating finishing moment of it was the uppercut, which was Clint, and so Clint would kind of polish it all off sometimes when he needed to, when people weren't expecting it, even when they were. But it was impressive. And then Levy also was good as the 2 on the snake side as well. So they just had this amazing mix of dudes that have zero fear of taking ground, and then moving up into those positions and having no respect at all for the gunfights of their opponents. That again was a 4-0 plus 20 in the prelims, and then had a tough game against Gladiatori, who had a bunch of experienced dudes on their team. And then Kyle Berry probably had, I thought, one of the greatest run through. Kyle Berry's getting really good, dude. And he looked really good out there. And then Carnage was a really cool story too. Paris Camp Carnage went undefeated in the prelims. So it's the best 2 French pro teams ever is the Tauntauns. And even I had this guy named Tyler, really cool dude. He actually does a lot of martial arts, and he was up there to do some commentary because he speaks English fluently, and he knows all the French teams like the back of his hand, because he plays on Carnage's brother team or sister team, which was Paris Camp Venom. Venom did not have a good showing out there in the pro division, but he knows all those dudes because he plays on the team. So but Paris Camp Carnage had a way more diverse look to their game, and they were playing more counterpunch paintball, but they were really impressive on the counterpunch. And it was that's kind of what I'm saying. It's the Lucky 15s were the story because of how flamboyant and aggressive it was. Gladiatori also were scrappy out there, and Slava had some really good points, and Slava's almost 50 years old. So
Slava played so good in Germany. It was unbelievable how good Slava played the middle in Germany. I mean, he was just putting the team on his back. And actually, Kyle didn't have the greatest event in Germany. And you're right, Kyle's a stud. He played great in England. But it was in Germany, Slava carried them to the semifinals. And really, they probably should have won that game against PP Arena. They got a pretty bad shake in overtime, pretty bad call from a ref. It was kind of a bummer. Slava was lights out. I was like, damn, how? And he's almost 50 years old, 49 years old. Unbelievable. Running all over the place.
And he still looks fast. That's hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, so Marcelo, Tyler, anyone that's out there that's dude, and you're in your 30s, first of all, you really are in the prime of your lives. It's not really till your 40s when shit starts to kind of hurt a lot more and it takes longer to heal. But even that, it's seeing guys the core of the dynasty guys at 40 still getting it done. I mean, Ryan Greenspan has been, it's again that meme. It's there he goes, Ryan Greenspan, just a miracle out there, 40 years old, winning these MVPs. And then, so it's definitely possible. Anyone out there that's there's no way I could play pro paintball. I'm 30 years old. It will never happen. That dream has died. Fuck that. Dude,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Like, that
Yeah.
dream has not died for you. That's just you allowing the weakness into your soul and telling yourself that you can't do something that maybe you actually can do. That if you're asking yourself that question, you really want to do. And it's definitely, I mean, look at the Hurricanes. Like, the Hurricanes are playing pro paintball right now. We actually have an interview dropping with the Hurricane guys tomorrow, I think, on Go Sports in our YouTube channel.
Nice.
With Mike. So Mike Bianca's their coach. He's really smart, and he does. He's kind of just a kind of jack of all kind of. I would say aggressive, like sports trades. You know, he's martial artist. You know, he's likes to shoot guns, paintball, the whole thing. But he's really
There's
smart.
so many similarities to martial arts and paintball in just the way that you carry yourself as a player and then as an organization, the respect, there's so many things that the mindset. Yeah, absolutely. And then just posturing, even the way you posture when you go ambidextrous, left or right, you know, when you posture, it's the same form. And like Matty was saying, if you haven't done a boxing class, keep those gloves up for like 5 minutes and just be hitting that bag.
Just try. I mean, it's I feel like if you get to adulthood, if you're like 40 and just do a boxing class. I promise you.
Yeah, fight or fit class.
It's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Or if you've never sat in front of another person and had them try to punch you in the face before, you need to do that before you die. You have to do that before you die. It's kind of an important thing for your soul. But yeah, so you know, so and you don't want to do too much of it because again, it can give you brain damage. But just do enough of it to get a taste. But that's what's again great about paintball is that we're getting shot in the head, but it's not as crazy. But regardless, But the point is that we are heading in. There's so many things that are slightly changing, and things that are getting more diverse in its nuance in our sport, from the business to how the game is played to the people that play it and the age of the people that play it. And I just think that I know some people, you keep seeing these posts of people, pining for this mythical heyday that existed when people were lighting bonfires of money on fire. And I'm just like, and if anyone wants to talk about that, I'm down to talk about that because I was there for that. And I watched a lot of people light a lot of money on fire. It's like somebody was given, it's all in tongue in cheek and like, God bless the trolls too. Cause we need people poking fun at shit. It's like, that's a reason why in a king's so, the king had the princes and their courtiers and all the lords and everyone around. And they also had the fool, and the fool was there to kind of check everybody, so and there's a reason for that. Everyone plays their role. So it is what it is, but it's that time period was unsustainable, and it was people chasing revenue. It was like they were trying to hop on and co-opt the natural upsurge and the organic growth of the game of paintball. That's a whole nother 5-hour-long conversation, which maybe for a different day, I don't know, but I'm not a fan of unsustainability. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was there for the funeral pyres of that money, and it's kind of like my dad used to say, and he never told me the other part of it. And we might have talked. I mean, it was this podcast, your guys' podcast or Carl's, but when I was younger and traveling all over and partying a bunch and just kind of burning the candle at both ends, there's a famous quote that goes, if you burn the candle at both ends, it won't last the night. So my dad would tell me that quote, but have you guys ever heard the end of that quote? The end of the quote.
No, I don't think so.
Quote? It's a great end to the quote because it just is so perfect for a lot of this stuff. It's like,
but the time it's lit will be bright as shit.
Pretty much. Yeah. There you go, dude. That's essentially that. Marcelo, you kind of nailed it with a little bit of verse in it too. Look at you, Shakespeare. No, the candle that burns at both ends, will not last the night. But oh, my foes and my friends, it gives off such a beautiful light. So, that's kind of one of those things, it's like you cannot get too entranced by the beautiful light of the candle burning at both ends, because sustainability is much more important. Not that sometimes you shouldn't, as a human, burn the candle at both ends, because it will give you substance for your soul and understanding that you have more in your tank than you could possibly imagine. But as a business venture is very fucking foolish, because, there is no such thing as a beautiful light when you're lighting a carton ton of money on fire.
So actually, I have a question from the PTG World Discord. Papa Saw, she's wondering,
Yeah.
Matty, is
Let's
it
get to the
true?
questions.
Just one for right now. We'll keep dipping in Excessive's heyday. You were paid $40K to shoot an autococker. Is this true? Yes or no?
I wasn't. I guess it depends on. That's not. I would say no. I wasn't paid in money. I was paid in autocockers.
Sick.
So yeah. Well, it's funny because people will be like, "Hey,
More than
Matty."
40.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, dude, do you have any autocockers left? Do you have any carnivores left, bro? Oh, the carnivores sick." Also, if anyone tells you that that marketing doesn't work, that's total bullshit. Marketing definitely works because I only shot a carnivore for 2 years, 2004 and 2005. And
That's
still
right.
to this day in
Yeah.
2022, I will go to an event and almost maybe not every event, but every other event, some random fan will walk by and be like, "Matty, what up, dude? Carnivore, bro. This shit's dope.
Well,
you got any of those left?" And I'm like,
Matty, hold on
Yeah.
a sec. Let me interject there really quick. Let me play devil's advocate.
"Please."
Isn't that a company lighting money on fire, giving away all those autocockers to the players to promote, which to this day carries brand recognition?
Yeah, but I would argue that that's not. So wait, you're saying that it's not that's not lighting money on fire then? Because first of all,
It depends on how you look at it, right?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. Lighting money on fire means it didn't do a thing. Like it didn't produce much from it. That's
So I
kind of lighting money on
I
fire.
still don't totally agree with that because people still are talking about those days. They're still talking about Huntington Beach, even though it's an $80,000 venue. They're still talking about the frickin' Angel, heaven at events, that cost the company tons of money to do. They're still talking about these things.
That's true. They're talking about it. So it did its job of generating the buzz, but it did not do its job of creating enough revenue to keep that fucking company around. Where's the Huntington Beach event? Where's Angel? Where are all these
back.
things?
Huntington Beach is back.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's true.
What they said. I'm starting to not believe it.
I hope it is. But the first thing I asked him is, again, like we started off this conversation, I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm down to help. However, what's your business plan? Please don't light money on fire. I don't want this to be a one and done thing. It's like the Spider Cup. That was dope. Those guys got to show up and win Mustangs. Did it ever happen again? Yeah, the Spider Cup happened again. But did it happen after that? No, it was unsustainable. So it's like that's the thing. It's like we have to build sustainable things. We have to, when you're looking at your company, when you're looking at your family, when you're looking at all this different stuff, building sustainability into the model in some way, shape, or form is kind of fucking important, man. Because you can't just keep, like I said, burning the beautiful light of the candle burning both ends will definitely create a beacon where people can look at it and be like, oh, look how beautiful that was. But that doesn't mean that it can necessarily exist forever.
Carnivore's not around anymore. And you said the marketing works. So, I guess I'm just like a little confused because I have a tough.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I have a tough time with this because I am conflicted. I totally understand. There does need to be sustainability. And I always push back on people's, obviously through PTG, we have these conversations with a lot of people in the Discord frequently. And so it is always that, well, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? I'm like, well, you can't just light money on fire. I am with you. I get it. But part of me does still believe that kind of stuff is good marketing. And today, in the day and age of social media and the how available, if we were to have an event like that, the allure of the stardom and how cool it is it's hard to see how it directly relates to or directly translates into players playing or people spending money on paintball. But it's hard. I have a tough time believing that it would not be beneficial, and it would not be like where kids that maybe play paintball a couple times say, whoa, I want to play professional paintball because actually, to be completely honest, that's a big reason I'm here doing what I'm doing for paintball today is because as a kid, I was watching you guys at Huntington Beach in these crazy events. I'm seeing at 12, 13 years old, stands packed on the beach, beautiful girls, people walking around, big trade show.
But where does that money come from? Where's the money come from to do that? So for instance, for the carnivore thing, it's not just in general. So where'd the money come from? So, okay, no one ever paid me $40,000 a year to shoot a carnivore. But if you do the numbers on the amount of the cost, so I got paid in guns, the amount of cost that I got for their cost to give me the guns was probably maybe $6,000 in cost for them that I get to sell for a lot more money. that they're, you know, so the way that maybe more than $6,000, but to give your premier dude who's like, you know, so you're selling these really expensive guns at the time. That was a premier gun, you know, at the highest level of the gun that they're selling. So you're getting, and this is how the economy of paintball sometimes works, because they can give a pro player, you know, guns to sell. So they can sell the guns for here and add extra because it's that pro player's gun, and maybe add a jersey or whatever the fuck it is. But their cost is here, you know. So to give your
But
top
that still
level
hurts
pro,
the company.
how
Because
is
people
it
that are
hurt?
buying those guns, that's a big issue that Die had.
No,
Like
no,
all these companies have stopped that model because it's not
I was
great.
the
Am I-
only.
am I-
No, I understand. So wait, you guys get paid in people get paid in guns still? What are you talking about? Like people still get paid in guns? Like that still happens? Like that model.
Eclipse tries not to do it anymore. They've made a rule. I know Field One absolutely won't do it. Die has tried to limit that as well because it totally killed the resale market. And you know, if you give a team 100 guns and those players go and sell them for, you know, anything less than MSRP, those are 100 customers that aren't going to buy your gun retail. And so, yeah, you got to pay an employee for like super cheap, but
Yeah,
you're also losing money on the other end.
I
Well,
understand.
all the
but that's-
companies do it. Every single one does. Still, yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, they don't, Tyler. They
Well-
certainly don't. Field One does not do it. Planet Eclipse has a pretty strict rule now as well in place where they don't do it the way they used to. They used to give away hundreds of guns per year.
Well,
They refuse to do it now.
it
and
is still
the players.
your payment is still measured in guns occasionally. I mean, I'm not trying to give
Yes,
away
it
trade
is, for
secrets
sure,
here,
for sure.
but
Yeah.
things are still measured in guns. But my point is that, yeah, it's a nuanced conversation. At some point, my point is that marketing doesn't work. Another example is, did you know, Tyler, you're married, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you buy your wife a diamond ring?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So anytime that anyone ever asks you if marketing works and they're a married man, ask them if they bought their wife a diamond ring, because diamonds are fucking bullshit. Don't take my word for it. Go and do your own research. I bought my wife a diamond ring. Diamonds are
Yep.
intrinsically worthless. They are not that rare. And the only reason that they're worth any money is because, you know, human beings like shiny shit. And that the De Beers company
This is
created a
facts.
marketing institution. These are just facts. This is all
Yeah,
just
this is
history. You can go
facts.
back again.
It's
you
so
don't have to-
shiny though. Man, you look at it, it's shiny.
Hey, bro, it shines like hey, it shines bright like a diamond.
Like
Yeah,
a
no, I get it.
diamond.
I get it. Yeah, it's and diamonds are a growth.
And if you
whatever.
don't have
Yeah.
one to compare with your girlfriends, or you're
Yeah.
looking
emotional
like an a-hole.
robots. Human beings
Yeah,
are
yeah,
emotional robots.
totally.
Like goes back to that.
That's what I'm
So,
saying,
you know,
Maddie. Again, I'm just again
No, I
devil's
love it.
advocate of it. I think
no, of course.
I think that the money spent on these venues still holds a very powerful place in
Oh,
paintball players' hearts
bro,
and minds, and is like
I'm
was a big part of the success.
I agree. Well, it was a big part of the splash on the mind of the paintball players that were around in the early to mid 2000s. But a lot of that money came from there was different types of money coming in around that time. So all of this is actually a really fascinating conversation. So you have a instance where paintball's organic growth from its origins up until the advent of X-Ball, essentially, was all from the ground up. It was all demand driven from the consumer. And then once you had these companies come in and start making money off producing paintball products, you know, then honestly, it definitely makes a lot of sense because they want their stuff visible. But changes to the game that happened to that, so we started having some top down decisions that were made about what the game's supposed. Like X-Ball was a top down decision. Well, that wasn't all of the people that played paintball. Like I was there at the time, you know, like we didn't want to play X-Ball. That we loved 10-man. 10-man was cool. We didn't all collectively just come up and decide that we were going to go play X-Ball because that was the coolest shit at the time. Like, no, that was dictated from our sponsors. We were told to do that. Like, yeah, we were asked what we thought about it, but you can go back again in this book and look at the history. And that was a conflicted, nuanced discussion. That wasn't like, yeah, dude, X-Ball is the dopest thing ever. Let's go do that. It was like, we need to put this on TV. This is more marketable. This is what you guys are going to doing. We're giving you guys 2 million paintballs a year and $100,000 in sponsorship or 100, whatever it was for whatever team, because it was different for each team. and this is what you're going to do. And you're going to sign this contract because we need to secure TV rights. And if you don't want to do that, then go play in the NPPL. And it was like, Marcelo, we were on a hot mic moment in Texas, where if you remember, you and I were sitting there kind of ribbing Ryan a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, bro, we're over there in the dark ages with no cameras on and no videographers allowed to film documentaries, playing for nothing in a bullshit league that never went anywhere, while you're over here cashing fucking $50,000 checks playing against the Naughty Dogs and the Tauntauns, you know? And like, so, and then as I dumped, like, we're sitting there at Texas, and we're doing the show, and we're going back and forth, and I'm like, all right, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be right back for this next set. It's going to be Team A playing Team B. As Marcelo Morgan, thank you so much. We're like, Marcelo Morgan, thank you so much. But Play the Game podcast, got to check it out. Ryan Greenspan, Spick and Span, it's going to be great. Thank you guys. Yeah, it's awesome. Here we are here on Go Sports with Matty Marshall. See you guys in a minute. And then my producer doesn't hit stop the mute mics. So then as we drop the headset.
Wait, Matty, I thought it was my fault. I thought it was because I didn't move the microphone.
Well, yes, it is your fault, but it's also my producer's fault. It's two.
Okay.
So this only gets out when you have 2 errors in a row. It's like anything. When a plane crashes,
totally.
It's not one thing that breaks. It's like
Multiple.
like the plane breaks, but then the pilot fucks up, and like all these different things happen, and like that's why people die, right? Why wars start is that, you have this guy that he says this, and this guy, and then all these different things happen, and that's how the war starts. It's not just one thing. So we have these microphones, and you move it. If it's down here, it's on, and if you move it here, it's up, it's off. And then and Marcelo knows this, so it's like, because he's not his first row.
I swear I didn't know that.
He's a seasoned professional.
That's what's so crazy.
You didn't know that? I thought I told you that a million times.
I feel like I've never been instructed that. I'm not saying that I haven't. There's a good chance that I had forgot, but I was blown away that like the producer didn't do their job.
You're right. No, and exactly. And when I went down there, I was like, again, this guy's worked on our gig for probably since before the PBA days. It's not Darren. I was like, hey, dude.
It happens.
Yeah, it's just not supposed to happen. You can't catch hot mics, because not everything's for public consumption. Obviously, this is for public consumpment, but you got to let people in every now and then. Yeah. It's not a big deal. This is not it's not like we were saying it's not the truth. Anyway, so Marcelo and I are grilling Ryan over, and so I'm like, I send it off, we put it down. Marcelo doesn't put it up, and he puts his mic down, so his mic is on and here, and our producer doesn't hit the mute button. So then we drop the mics, and I was like, motherfucker, you're out here cashing $50,000 checks, playing nobody. You're playing the Naughty Dogs and the Tauntauns, And then, I love the Naughty Dogs and the Tauntauns, and that was the bet. And the Naughty Dogs were
legendary.
Good.
Yeah,
but they weren't.
You don't have to PC it up, dude.
No, I'm not PCing it up. They were pretty good. They did win the 10-man in 2002 against who was it at the time? I can't remember. But so the Naughty Dogs were. I mean, they were pretty good, but they weren't like a top 8 team. If they went into the NXL, they probably would have got murdered. Roque's probably going to text me tomorrow and piss me and be like, "Fuck you, Matty." Anyway, Roque, I love you. But anyway. But that's what happened. And so we're giving him shit, and then all of a sudden, and after. So, and it's all good fun, and he's laughing because he knows it's true, and Marcelo's laughing. He's like, "Yeah, dude," and Marcelo's giving him shit. And then all of a sudden, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. And then I'm like, "All right, boys, take care, good luck, best of luck this afternoon. All right, cool. All right, peace out." And then I pick up my phone, and it's just like, "Your mic is hot. Oh shit, $50,000 checks, Anyway, so
hey man,
disaster strikes. Yeah.
Dude,
but anyway, it wasn't that bad though. The content that they picked up wasn't that bad. All things considered.
I mean, I try not to talk out of. I'm not gonna be saying the Super.
Who you got to worry about having a hot mic around is Alex Frazier. I love Alex Frazier, but my goodness, you got a hot mic around him. You got to be careful. It's like when we were talking about when we had the. By the way, let's talk about this too, Matty. The mic. The mic'd up thing you guys had at the last event is one of the coolest additions to Go Sports in a long freaking time. Like,
super
be careful putting that on Alex. If he forgets about it when he's in the pit, that could be trouble.
Dude, I forgot.
Like live. That's like live. I mean,
live.
I forgot so many times, and I was just like, just dropping F-bomb after F-bomb, and I was like, oh,
you were funny though, Ty, because you were like, oh, pardon me. You're like, oh, let's fucking go. Pardon me.
I gotta give Tyler props because. We didn't let you know ahead of time that we were going to do this. And I kind of like surprised you with this but I got to give you props because when I first went up to you and I was like, hey man, can we mic you up for this next one? And you were so Tyler Harmon and you were just like lasered in. You're like, no, it's good, dog. Maybe later, you know, because I was like, okay, and no big deal. Like obviously, but then
I turned right around.
No, you're right around. I don't know what happened. I mean, I almost wanted to ask you, but you were just
let's go.
Yeah, no, and then I was, because then Darren, our mastermind behind the scenes, and I was like, Tyler's doesn't want to do it for this one. He maybe for the next one, but he seems super focused right now. And Darren was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then so we're kind of sitting there about who we're gonna try to put it on next. And then I kind of like look, and Darren's here and you're here behind his shoulder, like over in your pits, and I can see it's kind of eating at you a little bit, and like. And then just maybe a minute and a half goes by and you're like, hey, Matty, you're like, fuck it, dude, let's just do it. And I was like, all right. And I was like, that's a mad respect, because that's the type of stuff we need. And I know it's, and this specific piece of equipment, though cumbersome and a pain in the ass before, is literally just a clip that goes on the back of your goggles. It's brand new technology they've spent the money on. Yeah. So it's just one of those, again, it goes sports. It doesn't. It literally it goes like just right on the back of your goggles. And so, and it's just like it's like,
we need that. We need that.
Hashtag grow the game, right? All right. Well, that's what we have been trying to do for a long period of time by letting people in. And it's like, this is one of those pieces of technology where I'm just like, yes, thank you. Finally. And, there's a couple other ones I'm like hoping for, but this one specifically. So
once we can get the next frontier is going straight on board to the gun, whether it's on the barrel or the loader. I don't know where they're going to put it, but having an onboard cam is going to be the next big thing that we're going to see. That's the next big thing as we come into the next few years. Yeah.
In Europe, they had a little camera. It's a little too big, but it goes on your head. But watching the footage, I don't think they did it in England. Actually, they did not. In Germany, they had it. And it was pretty cool getting that first person shooter perspective. And they have it on the head instead of the gun because the head's up more than the gun is. When you have it on a gun, it's kind of tough. You're kind of all over the place sometimes.
Yeah, true.
But it was really cool to go back and forth. I don't know. So from watching it, obviously it could get
Marcelo.
better.
It'll be on the head, not the gun.
Totally. It's got to be on the head because it's more stable.
Yeah, it needs to be. Matty. So the Ray-Bans have a new system where they have the and Google came out years ago with the Anyway, right. So eventually, what it needs to be, and it was crazy because I remember we had Dave Youngblood and his flights of fancy of what's possible. He liked to have big dreams of what he could possibly pull off, and has pulled off some really cool shit over the years. But PBA was one of them. But I remember him showing me. He's like, I had this guy mock this up, and it was actually pretty rad. And it was something we had spoken about, and it was like if you could somehow in the future like have like a goggle display where in the goggle it literally could be you could have a communication. Again, this is a totally different type of paintball. But you're like talking to your teammates on a mic with a heads up display in the goggle system, which has like how many bodies are left alive. And if we could, juxtapose that on like a computer screen, there's one of that's a possibility. Again, I'm just playing jazz with this as we move forward to the future. And
it's only going to develop more.
Yeah. And again, this is just stuff we would like to eventually work on. Then you have like when you play, when you're playing a Call of Duty or something, you have a heads up display, you know, again, I'm utilizing this. So it's like in the corner of your screen, and then it would have like, the entire field, and then we'd have RFID chips on everyone and where they would be in their positions for the people at home, just and stuff like that. And then, yes, putting a dream element would be having a camera in the goggle. The barrel is a little difficult because you see some cool barrel cam footage, but that's all stuff that's gathered on a run through. Now, would that be cool
edited
to have?
Too,
sure. Yeah, it's edited.
Right.
Yeah. So it's, that's like Ronnie or Ryan or you guys or whatever going to run through and doing that sort of thing. And then you're, putting a clip together in post-production. Does that work for a live show? It can for replays. It can for like cool highlight stuff. But the reality of getting that info to us in real time to put it within the framework of a show seamlessly would be difficult. We could, but it's just not ideal because it's on your barrel. The goggles though, now that is next level. That would be where we honestly would all like to take it. That's just the technology on that is a lot more difficult than the mic technology that we just, were able to get in.
Which is
we're
amazing.
Talking, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that mic, I'm so excited for it. I hope I get the opportunity to wear it at the next event. I got to wear it once at the last event, and I think it was on my birthday. I was just like kind of having an off day. I had a horrible match against the Russians. Got a penalty in overtime, cost us the match, but might have been the best thing for us because we got to play them the next morning again, Sunday morning, and so it's hard to beat the same team twice in an event. But I would love to be able to get the mic on again because it's so seamless.
I promise you, Marcelo, that at the last event, you can just pick your game and we'll give you the microphone. How about we do that? You can pick whatever game you want and we'll give you the microphone.
Awesome.
It's important for the listener to hear the little details that we always talk about. We preach about all these little details. And then when you have that mic on and you're able to watch that show, which huge kudos to Go Sports and the NXL, everything that they're doing for paintball right now. This is by far the best production we've ever seen, and the show is fun to watch. It's highly entertaining, and it's just an overall good quality and good time in there. So having that inside scoop
is immersive.
It is. It really is. And it's another level to the show that is really important. And just great job, straight up.
Thanks, dude. It's just, to me, again, goes back to the thing, right? It's like that no one wakes up in the morning and cares about anything. You are made to care. And I've spoke about this before. I think we talked about this on the last show because this is something that I like to repeat because I think it's important. If you look at the history of sports, and I'm a big fan of the history of sports, love history in general, but I call it the 5 fingers of the sports marketing fist. Again, the 5 fingers of the sports marketing fist. The reason why I call it a fist is because these elements come together to make a fist, to punch you in the face, to make you give a shit about things. It's heroes, history, the ongoing narrative, spectacle, and statistics. Those elements come together to slap you very viciously, emotionally, and mentally to make you care. And if you don't have all of those elements, then you are not doing everything you possibly can to wake the world up and make them understand that something can be fascinating. And so, I've been trying to work as hard as I can with whoever I can for as long as I've been, as I can to be working on this stuff. It's just, we don't have unlimited resources. This is paintball, man. We're not working for the Live Golf League that has all the Saudi money. We're not working for, and again, and not that resources aren't be putting towards this, again, big shout out to Bart for coming in and giving enough of a shit about this to purchase Go Sports. And so that, the NXL and Go Sports can be on the same page. I just went over to London, and Rome wasn't built in a day, but best believe that every day they were putting bricks in walls.
Absolutely.
And that's how I kind of look at this. And I feel that Bart looks at it that way too. So we've, I feel like we're on the same page, and it's about, it's not just about what's happening live. It's about how the story is told. And sometimes you have to get a little gritty with that. And that's kind of the one thing that it's like, I would send the question out to the guys. Again, it's like everyone wants to #grow paintball until we need something from you, not you guys, because you guys are in the trenches with us. But, so it's like last time we had to shoot a bunch of some high concept stand-up stuff, but it had to be done at kind of a rough hour, so it's just kind of, we didn't really get it. I would like to get more of a buy-in from everybody because this benefits everybody eventually.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the short video stuff that was done at the event? Yeah. It was tough because it was late, but it was like, one of those things we kind of looked around and we're like, guys, we got to do it. Got to do it,
and thank you so much for that. It's like, I appreciate that. Because you guys see the big picture.
It's a fine balance. It's a fine balance because, I understand the athlete's perspective is, hey, we're here to win a paintball tournament. That does not help us win a paintball tournament. Okay, I get that. But if you really care about the sport of paintball, we got to play both here. We just do. We have to play both here. The teams have got to play both. You don't have to. I mean, again, the teams are your paying customers. You can show up and kind of do what you want, but I don't advocate for that. And I know Tyler doesn't. Matty, I know you haven't for a long time, because if we really care about this thing growing and reaching the next level, then we do all need to buy in, and we do all need to do our part and try to help. And so little things like that can make the show much better, that can make like some badass graphics in between. Like you say, this is the type of stuff that makes people give a shit. You know, when you have
Polish.
like badass, yeah, it's exactly.
It's a spectacle.
And so
you need this again,
yeah,
spectacle,
100%.
man. It's like you have to, that's part of it, but it also, it adds to the heroes too. You know, it's like if we're talking about the Achilles of paintball, we're talking about like a Titan in this. I got to make that dude look like a god. You know, I mean, if you look at how every other sport does it, that's how they do it. So please help us buy in on that. You know, again, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm just sending us out as kind of like my plea. You know, really, it's like a plea. You know, I don't like to plea for things, but I can't demand it, because I'm not in a place, and the sport of paintball is not in a place to demand it. I could, but I feel like I'd be a dick doing that. You know, so it's more of I'm trying to rally the troops and let us know that, look, man, this is paintball, dude. You know, like Red Bull doesn't want to deal with us. We're shooting guns at each other. As much as we don't want to acknowledge that it's markers, this and that. Okay, cool. But for the rest of the world, this is like, we really do have to kind of circle the wagons here and make enough people care. And I'm fine with that. I was also, I'm down to shoot the moon, dude. I love moonshots. So, and I hope that one day we could convince a Coca-Cola that, because if you look at,
dude, I just love how real you're. Just the realist. I mean, straight up, Matty.
I have to be, man. I wouldn't be around still. This is just
it's the real deal, baby. Real deal.
It's pragmatism. I feel like you have to be very pragmatic about this. Like so when we were creating it's like another thing too, is that, so when we did the Ultimate Shootout, the one-on-one championship, when we were sitting around and trying to create some of the concepts for that, and that was a team effort, but and I'm sitting and listening to some of these conversations, and some of the people were like, we need to make this so simple a grandma can understand it. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you look at, how did gaming get big? Look at football and like, dude, there's still sports that people don't even understand. Like, I don't even know the nuances of hockey. We didn't have a fucking hockey team in San Diego when I grew up, dude. When I watched hockey, it took what icing was when I was younger. I know what it is now, but you have to keep nuance and fascination involved in the mind of the people that love it. It's like with Malcolm Gladwell. Yes. You have with Outliers. It's like, what's one of the three most important people that make things big and interesting? Mavens. Mavens are fundamentally important. If you cannot engage the mind of a maven. So what is a maven? Maven is a super fan. A maven is like, everyone has a car guy in your life. Everyone has like the do-it-yourself guy. Everyone has a baseball, hopefully you have these people in your lives. So, or golf guy, it's the guy that it's like, you know what? I wake up tomorrow and you know what, dude, I figured I want to play golf. Who am I going to call? I want to play paintball. Who am I going to call? I'm going to call Marcelo. Marcelo's a paintball maven. He knows everything about that sport you could possibly know. Marcelo, hey, what's up, dude? You know what, man? My friends want to play paintball. Where do we go? And you're like, oh, dude, I got you. Hey, dude, I feel a rattling in my engine. My wheel is shaking when I'm like under 15 miles per hour. That's my brother-in-law. He's a car maven. Like everyone has those people. Blake. Yeah. So there you go. So everyone has those people. So you have to create things for those people, because then they're the people that diagnose it to the rest of the world. So and again, humanity needs nuance and complication. That's how you create fascination. It's incredibly important. If you don't have complication, there is no fascination. So this whole make it is so simple that the mom wants the son to do it or the grandma can understand. Fuck that. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah,
here, and that's not our consumer. Are you kidding me? Like, that soccer mom that's not our consumer. She may be paying the bills, but what we really need to do is make it so fascinating that her son isn't going to shut up about it. And then it's so awesome and so fascinating, just and visceral. And he's like, I got to do this, that he's just going to browbeat her until she's like, all right, that's it. Fine. We're playing paintball. I don't need to know about it. And then but when 2 years later, she shows up and watches the webcast, and then somebody's like, Matty, so-and-so's mom is watching and she doesn't understand what's happening. And so we need to dumb paintball down because the mom doesn't understand it. No, that's not how gaming got big. That's not how any of these things became institutions generationally. That's not how the
I
human
hated
mind
football.
works.
As a kid, I hated football because I just didn't understand it. My dad would make me watch with him every week. Watch football with him. Watch the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, Joe Montana back then. I have no clue what's going on. 10 yards is a down. You get 4 downs to do what? What does that mean? I didn't understand the rules, you know? And that's how any sport is. And that's the argument and discussion that Tyler and I have on here all the time. And you know, we say the same thing. It's like, we just need more people to understand what we do. What we do is fascinating. We're all in love with it for a reason. So doing a better job of telling that story and explaining it to the outside world is what we need to focus on. In my
Exactly.
opinion. Of course, we
don't
can
need to make
some
it
changes.
We don't need to make it simpler. And we can, and
Yeah,
I'm not down for
totally.
changes. Changes are fine.
Right.
Like, there's changes
Totally.
that happen all the time. Excuse me. But
Totally.
is that the answer to it being bigger and more popular is not to make it simpler. It's to have more time to explain it, which is one of the reasons I hate split deck. So I'm so happy that we're going on Sunday to a more of a focus, which has been again, you know, God bless Bart. But we're like, hey, dude, we're like, hey, this goes against 100 years of sports storytelling. We cannot, if we expect to expand this thing and you know, #grow paintball, then we cannot have 4 stories and 2 separate games going on at the same time all the way until the finals. That's ridiculous. And he's like, you know what? That makes sense. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have 2 webcasts and we're going to focus on, you know, on the main core. We're focusing on the main dudes and the main girls. And this is just what it's going to be. That. And then we're going to have a whole nother webcast over here and we'll fund that too, you know? So, but again, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, we can't light money on fire because it's not sustainable, because I don't want to have a beautiful funeral pyre that people can see for miles around for one night. I want to have a beautiful fireworks display. It's pretty sweet that people can enjoy, that exists for every single night, as long as possible, or, you know, for as many times a year as we do it. Like, that's the goal, you know? And so, and yeah, sure. If things change and all of a sudden the world wakes up and they think what we think, and I will try as hard as I can. And I've been trying as hard as I can for almost 2 decades now to try to sing that song. But you know, I can't count on that. So what I can count on is that there are enough human beings that love this to make it sustainable, because we're kind of already there, you know? So like, and that's where we need to start from. There's, again, different elements. Like I said, the 5 fingers sports market fix, there's a couple of those we still need to work on, you know? So,
well, we're right
Matty,
there with you, man. And we think you're doing a great job. We're on our way. Thank
you. I know you guys are doing a great job too. We got to keep doing the great job as long as we can. Marcelo,
agreed. Matty, do you think that the paintball gun is still as big of an issue as it was? Do you really think that that's what's holding a lot of these major sponsors or major companies back?
No, I just think, honestly, I almost think it's the opposite. I think that if we did embrace, and this might be a little bit of a controversial view, but again, when you look at the hyper growth of paintball when it first began, and this is arguable, and I could both I could steelman the opposite way of this too. I'm being told I need to wrap it up here at some point in time.
Well, hey, you know, Monty comes first, and we still have you for a little bit longer here, but we're going to definitely wrap this up shortly for Mama Bear, because Mama Bear rules the world. We all know that.
Yeah. Again, you know, I'm available to you guys whenever you want. I feel like this is an evolving conversation. We can do a part 4.
We're going to be calling you. We're going to be having you on the phone too. We're going to be calling you in and having some fun on some more shows coming up. So be on the lookout for that.
No, again, like I said, bro, we're all in the same fight. So if you would like to teleport in, for me to teleport into your front for like a quick 10 or 15 minute, as long as it all works out, I'm super down for that. So yeah, for sure.
Do you think we have like 15 minutes? Can we finish up this little part and ask just a few questions? Or you got to like go now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We could try to wrap it up though. Cause again, I got a sick kid, so I got to do it.
Of course.
Okay.
Monty comes first, baby. Lord Monty, we got to make sure he's number 1.
Apologies. Real life.
No, it's all good. All good.
Seriously.
Yeah, we get it. You made this happen kind of last minute anyway.
We appreciate you, man. Always.
Do you want to do like,
should we
some
hop
rapid
into
fire
some questions then? Yeah.
Let's
We'll do some
rock some
rapid fire
PTG questions.
So
All right.
what you were just getting into, to me, is super interesting. So we're going to have to call you in the next couple weeks and kind of elaborate a little bit on that, playing,
For sure.
Exactly, about outside sponsors and stuff. But all right, so from Alpha Black 85, shout out to Alpha Black 85. It's the classic. Who would win, current dynasty or golden era dynasty?
Current era dynasty.
Tight.
Current era dynasty
Crush.
would win. Yeah, I think so. Just
watch out for Angel on that snake side.
I do really feel that. I feel like it would, well, maybe layout dependent. But current era dynasty is, dude, I played against past era dynasty. I mean, I watched the games I didn't play because I knew we'd playing against them. Also, it's just fun to watch dynasty play. But I feel like current era dynasty is probably, we've never seen a more competitive, like we were joking about earlier, right? Is that when so everyone, again, they're just, we're emotional robots, man. You see these like amazing performances and the stuff in the guys are running around the beach and they're doing all this sort of stuff. But if you look at the body language of Ryan 20 years ago versus Ryan now, he's a tighter, smarter player. If you look at Alex, I mean, even, so Angel Fergoza was a beast in the snake, and you've had multiple guys now step up in the snake. So I would like to see what Angel looks like in the modern era. But we don't have a lot of time, so we can nerd about let's just save some of these questions because I could spend 40 minutes talking about this. I'm just going to, easy answer is I would take modern era dynasty over previous era dynasty.
That's a hell of an honor.
I would bet
That's
I would bet money on that, to be honest.
Awesome.
What's next?
Man.
We got Coach Trick. He wonders, does paintball need a play-by-play announcer alongside you? Like someone that you could almost listen to, like an old school like radio announcer for baseball.
I am the play-by-play announcer. People tell me that they'll just listen to it.
Perfect.
I feel like I not do play-by-play?
You do.
I am discussing like intricately
Absolutely.
where people are.
You do.
I don't know. I feel like I do play-by-play. In fact, I had to evolve from the color. Like I used to be just the pro who was just there. Like the first event I ever did was in Huntington Beach, 2003. And I was just there as like the pro guy to add the strategy and the color. And then the other guy was supposed to do the play-by-play, but I ended up doing a lot of the play-by-play because he didn't really, and I love that guy. His name was Mike Ricker. He's a radio DJ from Tampa. We became good friends, but he never saw paintball. So I ended up doing a lot of the play-by-play anyway. So I just kind of morphed into the play-by-play rule. But if you listen to the cadence of the call, like it's kind of like, there's a cadence to it. It's like, there goes Marcella and it's D1 and then they move into the snake. I mean, I'm trying to describe it. The way I look at it is that if you, and some people will tell me this because they're working on, some people will be like, yeah, dude, I watch from work, but I can't really watch it because I can't have it on my screen. So I'll just have it in the background. And honestly, I treat it as a radio show. The way I look at what I'm trying to describe, at least as much as I can. Again, I'm doing 10 hours a day, so I can't always get it perfect, but I try to treat it like you can't see the screen, and I'm trying to say this dude's here and he's doing that and he's shooting this way and this is what's happening on the strategy. And then it depends on who I'm working with and we go flow back and forth. But, like I'm trying to do the play-by-play. Damn, fucking, I'm sorry. What's this guy's name? Dude, I'm sorry I'm letting you down, bro. My bad, dude. I'll try to do a better job.
You do a phenomenal job.
I'm sorry you let down the play-by-play.
I think that I think you do a phenomenal job with the play-by-play. It's just that at like a baseball game, there's
Pat McKenna?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to come up, Pat? You can do the play-by-play, bro. See how easy it is.
There we go.
Son of a bitch.
I do want to say that job that you have is grueling too, dude. Being up there for the amount of time that you guys have to, and then just going, it is relentless work.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what Pat thinks. What more of a play-by-play there needs to be? Like how more?
I think
how more granular do we need to get on it? Like how more granular do we need to get? Like microscopic do we need to get on a play-by-play? Because again, there are people that are watching. It's like it's a balance, right? Because there's people watching. So if I get super paintball nerd on it, and I'm like, he's at the Apple, and then he's doing this, and it's a 44, and blah 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 blah. Like, it's real like quick.
That's a great point. Real quick, because Coach Trick, Pat McKenna on his show had a great idea, and I do agree with this. we should implement, for at least the commentators in the Go Sports show, a standardization of like naming the field, you know, and maybe even the bunkers at the tournament have the name on them, but instead of,
bro, I have an idea.
Sometimes
I'm with you.
Okay.
I've been trying to get, I've been talking about this for years. And Marcelo, I think we've actually talked about this before.
Yes.
So on the Dorito, I just want to put D1. And then on D2, it goes D2.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then on S1, it says S1. So I'm like, he's at D1. He's at D2. He's at S1. He's at S2. So when it visually, so the problem is that when we go wide, it loses, you gain context, but you lose beauty, and you lose aggressive, the visual representation of the violence. You know, so when we're this big, it's like you can see the ants running around, and then we go this small to it, and it's like there's a beauty shot of Marcelo right on a bunker, and he's in this gunfight, and it's amazing. But we don't, unless I say there's Marcelo, he's in the can behind the snake side, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have to add a lot of exposition into it to make people understand what the hell's going on. So it's like going back and forth between that. Where if we zoom in, and it's Tyler, and you're and you just dove into snake one because Chad just died or whatever, and then it's like you're right by the spot, and it's like you posted up, and it says S1 on the bunker right beside you. They're like, oh, he's in snake one, and like you do that enough times, and that would be. But the problem is that because they sell those fields afterwards, and I put the thing on the. That's what I've always been kind of told is kind of hard to do.
That adds to it. That's like the real deal field. That's the one you want. I think that's a great idea. I really do.
There could probably be a patch system.
Yeah.
There could be some sort of Velcro patch system.
Maybe even a Velcro that like cuts out
of the bunkers.
Yeah, we modify it to where there's no more bounce shots. We'll just put these patch systems on there so that the bounce shots
I
all
love bounce
disappear.
shots, so let's
Tyler, you're also an anti-bounce shot guy? Because I know Marcelo's a pro bounce shot guy.
I love bounce shots.
Yeah, I love them too because I have to use them, and they're there, and I'm proficient with it, and I find them and I shoot them, and it is what it is. But I think that it takes away from the game personally. I think that people want to see
adds to the game, baby.
Heads up, barrel to body connections. I think that for a consumer, they're like, why did that player walk out? You know what I mean?
If you could find a way, we got to do a better job of showcasing it. If you could find a way to slow motion record that bounce shot, people, the regular viewer that doesn't understand paintball, would be like, wait, what?
I don't have enough cameras. That's like to put a camera dedicated to a bounce shot.
I get it. I love you, buddy,
but that's like that is just not going to happen. Like there's
videographers that get post it. They do. There's guys out there doing slow mo video all the time now.
No,
so
I know, but getting a slow mo. First of all, slow mo. So capturing slow mo video and incorporating that into a webcast live, that's not.
I'm not saying webcast. I'm not saying incorporating it to the webcast.
Okay.
But any sort of just content and post-production stuff, like having that stuff out there is, in my opinion, I think it's good, especially again in the state of things just going viral on social media. But Matty, I know you don't have much time.
No, sorry.
We'll go. Yes,
hey, dude, like I
got
said,
my last question.
I would literally talk to you guys for another 2 hours if I didn't have a sick child, but you, baby. I'm getting the bat signal.
So PTG Discord, PTG Discord. Be on the lookout. We're gonna get to these questions, and Matty, we'll be talking to you soon, brother. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. We can do a whole nother
show where I just answer questions. I don't give a shit. Like that's fine. That's fine with me. I don't care.
All right,
you're the best.
Sounds good.
I'm here. I'm just a soldier in the fight, dude. I'm like, what hill do you want me to die on? We're going to die on that hill? All right, this is the hill we're going to die on. Let's go, boys. Yeah.
Well, we got your back too, brother.
We salute you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us.
I was hoping we get to the stories about that, like Force on Force shit that I got to do recently, because, bro, that was like some epic stuff. We'll save that for like another story.
I was ready to go 4.5, 5 hours. I was ready for it. So,
I mean,
here we are.
We could always. I got sick kids, so there's not much I can do.
Yeah,
we got you. Baby.
We'll see how you're feeling tomorrow.
I'm down, bro. Like I said, we could do another part 2 and make it a thing. I feel like we just got started. I feel like this is hilarious because this is exactly what happened last time. We got into it. We started talking about all this crazy stuff, and we were like all over here. We're having all these fascinating conversations, and we're like, dude, it's been 3 hours. We got to sign off. And then we're like, we got to do a part 2. And I was like, all right, I'm down. Let's go. So I'm down to do a part 2.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Matty, you're the best, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. Go take care of Monty and the lady.
Yes.
We love you guys. Sending our wishes. All right, brother.
All right.
Peace, brother.
Peace. Love you guys.
Love you too, bro.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the show, you can head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the Patreon link, and become a supporter. We would greatly appreciate it. If you sign up at any level, it does give you access to the Discord. And in the Discord, we're always doing really cool things. We got amazing giveaways, amazing group of individuals in there. It's just an awesome community of like-minded paintball players. You always are having really thought-provoking conversations and some really cool channels, as far as film review and layout review, really anything that you want to ask. We have a gear channel, to share and inquire about different types of equipment. It's really fascinating, really awesome, and we would greatly appreciate it. It does help us continue to do what we're doing, and all of our shows are on there too, so you can head over to the website and watch any of the video or listen to any of the audio. All right, everybody, as always, we will see you very soon.